is a presentation of ESPN on ABC.
Welcome to college football presented by Walmart. You're watching the Big Ten on ABC. Bright sunshine, no humidity, 70 degrees, Saturday, the Big House. Where else would you rather be? Number 8, Michigan, taking on Cincinnati. Hi again, everyone. Bob Wischusen here with Brock Ewart. Allison Williams will join us in just a moment. One of the biggest storylines in college football during the offseason, the talent defection here at Michigan. 17 starters out the door, 10 of 11 new starters on defense. And what did the Wolverines do on opening day? Smother the Florida Gators, 11 rushing yards. Did you notice a difference watching them last week?
Oh, I didn't, Bob. Not only on the field, watching it Saturday on TV, but then when you watch the game tape. If you thought that they would simplify things, let's keep it simple for all these new guys. Well, you thought wrong, because they do as much as anybody in college football. I have so much fun digging into that football. It's pro-style football, and they get these kids to buy in, to believe, and most importantly, to play awfully fast.
Allison, this is a group that still believes they can be as good, if not better, than last year.
They do, Bob, and because of all the talk about what they've lost on defense, they go out there and they play with the chip on their shoulders, looking to prove all the doubters wrong. They know they lost 10 very talented starters, but this group actually has more experience in Don Brown's defense than last year's team. The second-year coordinator told us we now have a core group of guys that have been learning the components of this defense for a year, and that is a foundation we can build on. The only returning starter, Mike McCray, said, yeah, we may have some new faces out there to start, but we know how to play, and we look to be even better than last year's team. Bob.
And Allison, Jim Harbaugh said on Monday, this defense runs to the ball faster than any defense he's had. We get a chance to see it firsthand when we come back. Kickoff between Cincinnati and Michigan in a moment. Very short kick. Crawford outside the 5. Tripped up at the 20. Now, college football provides some amazing and memorable moments. How about this one for the Spate family? Wilton Spate, of course, the quarterback, but his first opportunity to run out of the tunnel here at the Big House next to his younger brother, number 67. That's Jess Spate. He is a freshman offensive lineman. They said they wanted to touch the banner together, and they did just that. Wilton told us, I don't imagine my parents. First carry of the game for Ty Isaac. 4 yards on first down. Wilton Spate making his 14th career start. Third team all Big Ten last season. And in spite of the fact that he threw the 2 pick sixes on opening day and was benched for the final 9 minutes of the second quarter, there's really no doubt from Jim Harbaugh as to who his starter would be today.
And he's not going to be looking over his shoulder. Jim pretty clear with us yesterday, conventional means today. This is Wilton's game.
Isaac again. Grinds out about 3 more yards. Jalen Minor was there to help bring him down 1.5 yards shy of the first down. Third down for Michigan on this opening possession. And there's the head coach in his 3rd year, 21-6. Another handoff and a first down and then some. Into the secondary goes Ty Isaac.
And this is no surprise. They script their first 10, 15 plays, their openers, and this is going to be the big heavies. It's going to be bigs on littles. Michigan wants to get back, and felt like last week Florida sacked them 5 times, controlled a lot of the line of scrimmage. While they got out and had some big plays in the run game, they want to get these tight ends, these fullbacks. All 5 tight ends will play. The 2 fullbacks, the big fellas up front on the littler linebackers of Cincinnati.
Isaac again, and this time met right at the line of scrimmage by Jalen Minor. It's a 1-yard gain. Well, last week was Michigan football. Well, last season, they were so balanced. Last year, they averaged 219 yards rushing per game, 212 yards passing per game. Last week against Florida, 215 yards rushing, 218 yards passing. Just what they did last year. Here's the first throw, a wide receiver screen. The freshman Tariq Black goes nowhere. And now it's 3rd down and long.
And this is a big play here early, and that's exactly, I think, what Cincinnati wants them to do. They want to get out on the perimeter. They want to use some of their speed. Tommy Tuberville recruited a lot of speed to this defense over the last 3 years. They're undersized, but they can run. Gilbert, the strong side linebacker, is 200 pounds. Young, one of their better linebackers. That's defensive coordinator Marcus Freeman's one of his favorites. He, too, is about 210 pounds, but they will run sideline to sideline. And now have Michigan in a predictable passing situation.
Although if they get the look that they like, Wilton Spate can check to a run, although an empty backfield here on 3rd and 9. 5-man rush. Spate well protected, allowed to pump a couple of times and finds a crosser. That's Kekoa Crawford. Easy pitch and catch, 1st down.
Anytime you can hitch and hitch and hitch, and look at the big boys up front, and when you got a 6'6" quarterback, you want him to have the ability to step up into that pocket, which is exactly what Spate did there. I didn't see him flinch through all those sacks last week, but he certainly likes that air around him to step up and find a completion on 3rd down.
Play action. Spade looking downtown, lofts it to the end zone. Kekoa Crawford. That's a Michigan touchdown.
More than anything, that's what the 108,000 wanted to see in this building. What does head coach wanted to see? Play to your strengths. He didn't hesitate yesterday when asked what he loves to do, and it's throw it down the field. A perfect dime in that area you love to attack at the 40-yard line for the huge touchdown.
Nordine tacks on the extra point. Kekoa Crawford with his first touchdown catch this season. Just that easy from Michigan. 7 plays, 80 yards. 7-0. A perfect day in Ann Arbor and a perfect start for the home team in their home opener. Michigan trounced Florida last week 33-17 in a game the final score didn't even remotely tell you how soundly Michigan beat up the Gators. The only 2 touchdowns Florida scored last week were on pick sixes. James Fogg kicks it off as Michigan already off to the touchdown lead today against Cincinnati. Now Thomas Geddes takes a knee. There is an NFL superstar, or so it seems, that anchors the defensive line for Michigan. Only a sophomore, but what an athlete Rashawn Gary is.
Yeah, that's a bad boy right there. And Jim Harbaugh doesn't like to single out anybody. And I tried yesterday about 8 different ways, peppering him with every question I had imaginable. And eventually he said, okay, fine. Gary's the guy. He's the one that holds everybody accountable. He's relentless on, off the field. He committed himself. If you watched him a year ago, he didn't look like the same guy. He's down in body fat. He's down in weight. And he is up in energy like the rest of his buddies around him, flying around the football.
11 yards rushing allowed last week to Florida. And that's the task for Hayden Moore at quarterback and Mike Boone to his left in the shotgun. Play action. A little slip to the left to Tyler Cogswell, the tight end. Incomplete. It will be 2nd and 10. And Don Brown, the defensive coordinator, he did a terrific job at Boston College turning around a BC defense when he got to Chestnut Hill. And now he comes to Ann Arbor, and look at the numbers he puts up with these horses.
Everything I hated in a defensive coordinator when I played quarterback, everything I despise. Where's my completions? Where's my free access? Where's my space to live in? He doesn't give the quarterback or an offense any.
Screen for a gain of 6 out to the 31 to Devin Gray.
You guys were talking about Rashawn Gary and how he slimmed down. Well, he put up some impressive numbers this spring, including in the 40-yard dash. He ran a 4.56. He said it felt fast, but he had no idea it was that fast until a few days later. He shocked even himself. You guys, though, he did it again in the summer, and he said he feels that speed out on the field. I think the opposing quarterbacks do, too.
A sub 4.640 at 281 pounds. Yikes. 3rd down and 4.
That's Clowney. And that's the freaks in the NFL.
Play clock at 5. Hayden Moore looking over to the sideline. Play clock at 2. They'll have to use a timeout or suffer a delay of game penalty. The flags fly. I'm not sure the sideline realized it unless Luke Fickell was able to get the timeout called, and he did.
Prior to the delay of game, first charge, timeout, Cincinnati. It's a 30-second timeout.
Well, if there's one guy in the building on the opposite sideline that understands what playing here is all about, it's him. Luke Fickell, of course, spent 15 years at his alma mater at Ohio State before taking this job as the head coach at Cincinnati. So there's a little tinge of Ohio State, Michigan in our game this afternoon.
He knows what he wants to do with his program. He wants to get back to some of the roots that Mark D'Antonio planted years ago, and that's get back to the state of Ohio. And I think a good hire in that sense. He knew his opportunity was going to come, and I'm sure he'd been pursued by others. But smart for Cincinnati to get a guy so plugged into the high school, so much relationship in this state. Get back to recruiting Ohio kids to bolster this roster.
After the timeout, empty on 3rd and 4. Michigan shows blitz, but that doesn't mean they're coming.
What you see and what you get post-snap, often very different.
Play clock down to 7. And they rush only 3. Incomplete. Khalil Lewis, the intended receiver. So it's a 3 and out for Cincinnati, and Michigan about to get the football back.
That's a perfect case in point. He is showing Don Brown and his defenders a man-to-man look, and you get in empty to spread the entire field to try to find the matchup you want. And that's what the pre-snap look was, and that's what the quarterback's going up there, and he's trying to get the protection right. And what does Don Brown and the Wolverines do? They get right back into his zone coverage. They trap exactly to where Hayden found that man-to-man matchup, and there is nothing there.
The Australian James Smith kicks it away. Donovan Peoples-Jones allows it to hop, and it takes a pretty good Michigan hop into the wash, and it looks as if it may have hit a Cincinnati player, so that immediately kills the football. Donovan Peoples-Jones jumped on top of it just in case. It was illegal touching. Touched up at the 40-yard line by Cincinnati. Michigan ball when we return.
College football on ABC is presented by Walmart. Walmart. Save money. Live better. In part by Nissan. Innovation that excites. And the United States Marine Corps. The few, the proud, the Marines.
That is a pretty impressive tackle by the middle linebacker for the Cincinnati defense. That's Jalen Miner. He grew up in Texas, a rodeo athlete. His specialties were calf roping and steer wrestling. And Brock, there are times where when he's playing middle linebacker, it kind of looks like he's doing the same thing.
Sure is, especially when he's running sideline to sideline. Not necessarily downhill, but he is most comfortable in that kind of attack mode.
Ty Isaac, the lone setback on 1st and 10. Michigan, great field position at their own 40-yard line. Isaac looking for some room, met after a gain of a yard.
Guys, Miner grew up partaking in the rodeo. It's an absolute passion of his. As you guys mentioned, he competes in steer wrestling and calf roping in the PRCA. It's something his entire family does. His brother's currently competing in Cody, Wyoming. He said, I can't do it now. Obviously, the risk of injury a little too high. They don't want him out there in the rodeo, but he plans to get back into it after football. He grew up on a 100-acre cattle ranch in Texas. He said, it's just something that's in my blood.
It looks like he's good at it. Not that I know what I'm looking at. Isaac, gain of another yard, so it'll be 3rd down and 8. And there's Jalen Miner cutting him down at the ankles.
He sure did. He didn't jump on that first drive. You saw him got on the back of that running back, and guys here at Michigan are going to carry you. And this time he is hitting below the waist. Eyes are up, secure. Kind of similar. Just tie that rope at the very end, right?
He had a career high 10 tackles last week in the opening win against Austin Peay. Had never been a double-digit tackler before in a single game.
These are the downs and distance. It was 3rd and 8, the previous possession. These are the ones if you're Cincy, you have to get off the field.
Spade well protected underneath. Soundly played by Cincinnati. Tariq Black had nowhere to go. Grant Coleman waiting for him. And it is a 3 and out as Michigan spoils great field position.
Yeah, there was nowhere to go. Just some zone coverage that time. 2 Wolverines in the same spot. I think that's the conversation Jim and Spade are going to have right there on the sidelines. That was the only outlet That's the advantage of playing good first and second down defense. It at least gives you an opportunity to force Michigan into those checkdowns.
Sophomore Will Hart, only 2 punts on opening day against Florida. Gets away a wobbly one here. Devin Gray at his own 12. Wrapped up and brought down right at the 13-yard line, a 45-yard punt. Only a 1-yard return. Let's go back to Cassidy Hubbard. It's a fun rivalry game in week 2 of college football. The in-state matchup between the Cyclones and Hawkeyes.
Not a fun matchup for a quarterback staring into the eyes of this defense.
Rashawn Gary rides down Mike Boone, a gain of a yard. And that does play into your play calling, doesn't it? On 3rd down and long, you know you don't have to necessarily take a chance on 3rd down and 8 if you're Michigan. Because you're going up against a team that really struggled to run the football last year and was only able to manage 97 yards against Austin Peay. You held Florida to 11 yards. Great. Punt it deep. Let your defense go play. Aiden Moore on 2nd down. Swing pass. It's Boone. Devin Bush was all over the field last week, sideline to sideline against Florida, and he's there to make the tackle.
Yeah, we talk about running backs a lot of times with a forward lean and pad level. Watch this guy come on stunts and blitzes. Watch him right there. He's running the route. That's just a little swing route. You're trying to get him caught up in some of the wash. He doesn't. There's some advantages to being a 5'11 linebacker, a coach's son that knows this game inside and out.
And it's 3rd down and 7.
Look at Michigan defensively. Go ahead, look at the sidelines. Try to get to that right call, but I promise you what you are seeing before the snap, Hayden, is not what you're going to see after it.
Play clock at 2. They didn't get the play off. Delay of game.
Prior to the snap, delay of game. Offense, 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
And Brock, you might think that it's crowd noise, and that certainly plays into the communication between Hayden Moore and his offensive line, forcing a delay of game, but it's really about a quarterback trying to decipher where is Michigan coming from, and you have no idea.
Show me your cards. Will you please just give me a tell somewhere? We enjoyed that tape yesterday, Bob, talking through all of it, trying to find, is there a tell, is there an alignment, is there a coverage giveaway, and there's just not.
4-man rush. Moore steps up. High throw, and it's intercepted. Picked off. Tyree Kittle. He's got a convoy. He's got the end zone. That's a Michigan touchdown.
Hayden Moore had what he wanted. Actually a good zone concept against zone defense. Something Michigan doesn't play an awful lot. But you get so sped up as a quarterback. You hear that about pitchers all the time. The game speeds up on you. The game speeds up. You play a defense like this. It's like a lineup that's 9 deep, and it just speeds your whole process up. Ball sales, pick 6.
In this era of spread football, hurry-up offenses, and teams just playing vanilla defense, you get everything 180 degrees opposite when you play this Michigan defense, don't you?
Spot on.
It was given the name Death Valley for a reason. Good luck escaping alive.
Do you believe that you can win this fight tonight?
Oh boy, at night when the Tigers come down that hill, that is an awesome sight. Although if there was a team that might be able to go on the road and pull off a little bit of an upset, how about best win percentage in AP top 15 matchups since back in 2004? Auburn trails only USC in that department. Another touchback out to the 25-yard line for Cincinnati. And now Hayden Moore has to get back out on the field, have amnesia, and again try and decipher what he's looking at. Never the same look twice from this Michigan defense.
And never let him see you sweat. That's what Luke Fickell's looking for in his quarterback. It's going to be a measuring stick game for his offense, for the physical toughness and the mental toughness as well. And this is a new head coach coming in, and he's evaluating everything. Like I said, I think some of the core pieces defensively. You've seen those guys fly around. Offensively, just 28 points against Austin Peay. Shut out in the first quarter. Not a lot of execution here to speak of in the first frame.
Slant on time, caught by Khalil Lewis. Lost the football, but they'll say he was down after a gain of 9.
That's the best way to settle the nerves. Get the ball out of your hand. Simple little pitch and catch, slant route. Khalil, the most dynamic player. Like that right elbow hit the ground before the ball comes out.
Landed right on top of Josh Metellus. No review. Under pressure. There's the blitz up the middle from Devin Bush. And down goes Hayden Moore. Wipe away all 9 yards they picked up on first down. Now it's 3rd down and long again. 3rd and 10.
Watch the pad level. Watch number 10 come in here. Look at him. Look at the little running back. And obviously that's the blur of everything they do up front. Not only confusing, Bob, for quarterbacks. Good luck for offensive linemen as well. 2 sacks a week ago. He's going to have double-digit sacks this season. He's an excellent blitzer. It's instinctive. Well timed.
Only a 3-man rush. Long throw. Incomplete. Looking for a flag was Thomas Geddes. Josh Metellus was shadowing him. No flag thrown. 4th down. Another 3 and out for Cincinnati. James Smith is a 23-year-old true freshman. He's the Australian punter, product of Pro Kick Australia, Melbourne-based company that helps teach Australian rules football players how to become punters. Did that football hit a Michigan Wolverine? It did. Cincinnati gets a big break on special teams. Benjamin St. Just, who is only a true freshman, didn't know where the football was. It hit him, and Cincinnati gets a turnover on special teams. They'll have it at the Michigan 38-yard line.
Flirted with it a little bit the first time around.
The kick, and a member of the receiving team was recovered by the kicking team. 1st down, Cincinnati.
That's the kind of break you need if you're Cincinnati to get back in the game.
It sure is, and you see the conversation. Yeah, St. Justin may have hit him, but the conversation with head coach and his freshman receiver, Donovan Peoples-Jones, the punt returner, is you have got to be full throat. You have got to be screaming and yelling. You have the awareness. Your blocker does not have the awareness of where that football is. He's doing his job, and you have got to scream and protect your guys around you.
And the Bearcats take advantage. Another slant through the hands this time of Khalil Lewis. 2nd and 10.
Some experience on the field tonight. As much as Michigan loves to disguise, you're looking at Baker and JT Barrett, who will go at it tonight. The horseshoe, lots of experience, unlike Hayden, who's trying to figure this out right now at quarterback.
That's Mike Boone in motion. He's now the slot receiver. Long throw down the sideline. Incomplete. well defended. A hand up from Brandon Watson.
Let me show you the last third down here, Bob, and what I'm talking about with all this disguise. Look at Furbush here. This burdens an offensive line more than anything because they have got to protect from the inside out. He is showing that look pre-snap, and then post-snap, where's he going to end up? Where's he going to end up? Yeah, he's going to end up covering the middle of the field down into zone coverage. NFL scheme. You've called Jets games for 15 years as we watch tape. How many times did you say to me yesterday, man, this looks like the game at the next level?
3rd down and 10. 5-man rush, screen behind it. Caught. Mike Boone. He's got room. Hurdles his way inside the 30. Very close to a first down. Tyreek Kittle brought him down, but that looks to be good enough to move the chains. What a big tunnel screen first down it is to Mike Boone for Cincinnati to keep the drive alive.
An excellent job by the big guys of Cincinnati getting out in front, and Kittle doesn't make that tackle. That's a touchdown. That's the risk of playing some of this man-to-man coverage. Not a lot of numbers on the back end. You've got to be secure, and the safety was.
Devin Bush limped off the field as well. He's now on the sideline. Option. Boone gets to the edge. Inside the 20. Into the red zone goes Cincinnati. The first 2 first downs for the Bearcats on back-to-back plays. 1st and 10 at the 11.
Luke Fickell may be a new coach, but he's got a lot of experience on his staff on both sides of the ball. And Mike Denbrock, offensive coordinator, he's been around the block a time or two. And he had a very clear plan. Did not know how it would all follow through and executed some of the chaos. Screens, getting their running back the ball into matchups outside, tunnel screens, every screen you could imagine against so much of this pressure.
More on a rollout. Incomplete. One question I would have, if you're Cincinnati, would you up the tempo offensively? I mean, for Michigan, the only chance that they have to get into all of these different looks and show all of these confusing machinations defensively is if you take the play clock down inside of 5 and give them the time to do it.
Catch 22, you go 3 and out, as Luke knows, then you're putting that offense back on the field against your littler guys. So yeah, I think a mix of it, and you've seen a little bit of that, I think, on this drive.
A keeper for Hayden Moore. Knocked out of bounds inside the 10 at about the 6. Chased down by Chase Winovich. They'll give him progress to the 5, and here is a big play with Devin Bush still over on the sideline. 3rd down and 4 from the 5. And this back to the play on the tunnel screen for the first down to Boone. And there is the helmet to the knee. And Devin Bush is on the sideline. Moore lobs it. Pylon incomplete. Flag out. Khalil Lewis bumped by Lavert Hill.
Pass interference. Defense number 24. Foul occurred in the end zone by rule. The ball is placed at the 2-yard line. Automatic. First down.
A tighter split by the wide receiver, and Lavert knows exactly what's coming. He's going to close the space on that route. I don't see much contact there. And the hands to the chest. That may just be it. I don't see it impeding the receiver's real opportunity to go get it. It's,
if the official sees a fistful of jerseys,
he's gonna call it,
which he
that's
saw,
gonna be his tell. Yep.
Hard to say that's not pass interference. 1st and goal. Moore will try and do it himself. Tunnels down inside the 1. It'll be 2nd and goal.
And so much of what Michigan loves to do defensively and offensively, for that matter, is really about math. When you play all the man-to-man coverage, you're just simply getting another defender around the line of scrimmage. And Mike McCray knows that the only way to offset that math is to have some quarterback run. And that's what you've seen Hayden do now a couple times down in that red zone. I don't think there's a real fear of his explosiveness. But you see Cincinnati realizing exactly how Tom Brown wants to attack you.
Now it's Mike Boone, right at the goal line, short of the end zone. It will be 3rd down and goal from inside the 1. Mike Wrobleski saved the touchdown.
That is your one-on-one situation. This is where, as running back, you have got to find a way to win. You're in that open field. You have got to find a way to break that tackle. Coach's jobs are to put you in one-on-one. Your job is to win it. Credit Robleski there filling in for Bush with the tackle.
Boone tries again. Squeezes it across the goal line. That's a Cincinnati touchdown. And they take advantage of the special teams takeaway.
Same two matched up. Same opportunity, a one-on-one. Credit Mike Boone. I think he learned from that last run. As you're looking at St. Just, it was that punt that hit him on the leg that really turned some of the momentum in this building. Boone realized, got to get the pads down, got to drive through that tackle, and does through Robleski. And
it's a short field that they took advantage of, Brock. But having said that, Cincinnati just did something that Florida couldn't do last week, and that is offensively get the ball in the end zone against this Michigan defense.
Review.
They are going to review to see whether or not Mike Boone did get in the end zone. Ruled it a touchdown. But is there any part of his body, knee, anything, that is touching the ground before the ball breaks the plane? Looks like a pretty obvious touchdown that the call on the field is correct.
And what a picture of just the fundamentals and the details. How many times have you heard in your life, low man wins? Low man is going to win. You're rebounding in basketball, low man is going to win. And that time, Boone was determined. After being stopped by Robleski on that last second down run, he was determined to get those pads down and finish the run. And speaking of finishing, nearly 10 games last year, Cincinnati went without a rushing touchdown.
Say that again.
Nearly 10 games they went without a rushing touchdown. I did it slowly for more emphasis.
Well, that was something that Mike Denbrock, their offensive coordinator, told us. He didn't even realize when Boone scored on the ground against Austin Peay last week.
After further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. It is a touchdown. After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, offense number 5. That 15-yard penalty will be enforced on the kickoff. This is number 5's first unsportsmanlike conduct penalty of the game.
That's a bad penalty for Mike Boone. To take an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty and now have your team kicking off back at their own 20-yard line.
Yep.
You just got 6, potentially 7 on the board, and that 15-yard penalty could give Michigan great field position. Josh Pasley, who won a kicking competition this week with Andrew Gantz in practice, with a line drive that finds its way through.
The score is Michigan 14. Cincinnati 7.
Did they mistake maybe that Superman motion for a throat slash? I'm not sure, but that 15-yard penalty is going to cost Cincinnati potentially field position. We'll see what happens after we check in with Cassidy Hubbard.
Thanks, Bob. AT&T Field pass, Northwestern and Duke. Wildcats up 3-0 until Daniel Jones decides to take it himself. An 11-yard TD run, capping off a 13-play, 80-yard drive. Blue Devils up 7-3 in the first over on ESPNU. Bob, Brock, Allison, back to you.
All right, Cassidy, thanks very much. And tonight on ABC, a game that could, when the season wraps up, be a game we look back to when the 4 teams are in the playoff. Oklahoma, Ohio State, coverage at 7:30 Eastern. Also streaming live on the ESPN app right here on ABC.
Well, it did a year ago. The only reason Ohio State was in it was because they played that game early on the road, a win that very few of their peers had. And they got in that committee room and they talked about it.
2 legitimate Heisman candidates, both the quarterback in that game tonight to you.
Yep. And the entire offensive line returning for Baker Mayfield. I think the best defensive line as far as depth, speed, size, and strength there at Ohio State.
Let's see what kind of field position Michigan ends up with after that penalty. Crawford from the 14. Flag down as he gets across the 40-yard line.
During the return, holding, receiving team number 52, 10-yard penalty, first down.
So Michigan returns the favor with a special teams penalty as we take a look at today's. Let's take a look at the penalty. And at the very top of the screen, you can see there's number 52 with the hold.
And the takedown.
Lisa Mbase is called for that penalty that hurts Michigan by 10 yards field position wise. Play action for Spate. Floats it right. A little too high. Donovan Peoples-Jones couldn't haul it in. And now let's take a look at today's battle. Brought to you by U.S. Marines.
Keep it simple, stupid. Big on little. Tight ends, 7 of them. 7 tight ends and fullbacks for Michigan. You will see every one of them. Average height and weight, 250 pounds. And the 3 linebackers and the safety for Cincinnati. So active. Their leading tacklers, just 215.
Illegal substitution, offense, breaking the huddle with 12 men. I'll tell you guys now. Illegal substitution, offense, 12 men, breaking the huddle, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
That's great. That's one of the trade-offs when you do have so much personnel and you're moving them in and out at all times. I'll tell you what, Jim Harbaugh, everybody looks at interceptions, and that's the easy one to point to. That first down pass right there, those are the ones that he expects Wilton Spate to hit. Those are the ones that make the difference and allow you to run the ball on 2nd and 4, 2nd and 3, and not be looking now at a 2nd long situation.
Don Willard is our referee. Clearly he's got a sense of humor. Wilton Spate wide open. Grant Perry, first down. A gain of 17, maybe 18 yards.
The eyes have got a little stick route. Tight ends running a 5-yard little route. Cincinnati, 2 defenders jump that route, create a massive amount of space for Wilton to throw into. Grant Perry, the leading receiver a week ago against Florida, very nifty in that slot. The young pups, the 2 true freshmen, they play on the outside, and Grant Perry owns the middle of the field.
Up the middle, it's Chris Evans, his first carry. Brought down right at the line. It'll be 2nd down and 10. Marquise Copeland made the stop. That'll take us down inside of a minute to go in what has been an eventful first quarter. Michigan looked like they were going to put this game away early, but a special teams error as they touch a punt in their own end gave Cincinnati the short field. They took advantage. Jet sweep, turning the corner. Donovan Peoples-Jones gets to the sideline. Inside the 20-yard line before he's finally brought down at the Cincinnati 13. A gain of 44 for the true freshman.
And it's those big bodies. I mean, right there on the edge was a perfect picture of a big on little. And there's some of the explosion of Peoples-Jones. Most explosive guy on this offense. Had an awful lot of help from his buddies around him. Kakoa Crawford caught the touchdown in the earlier possession. He's the one driving his corner 25 yards down the field.
Two tight ends and Chris Evans bounces it outside, using the speed to get to the corner. Close to a first down. He might have it at the 3-yard line. Grant Coleman bumped him out, but it's 1st and goal, Michigan inside the 3. And it looks like that will take us down to the end of the first quarter. Goal to go for Michigan when we come back for the second quarter. Wolverines coming off a terrific opening day performance against Florida. They've got a touchdown lead after 1 here in their home opener.
Hey, I'm Carter Osterhaus. You're gonna love banking with Lake Michigan Credit Union. It's the one place where you'll always get great rates and the best service. Take advantage of Lake Michigan Credit Union's max equity loans. It's the perfect way to affordably finance home improvements, repairs, and new appliances using the equity in your home. Anyone can open an account. I did. Lake Michigan Credit Union, the best place for your money.
The WZZM 13 Watchdogs are on your side.
Welcome back to college football, presented by Walmart. At the start of the second quarter, Michigan leads by 7.
Bigs on littles. That's going to be the conversation, and this is Zach Gentry right there, and he is matched up at 6'7", 250 with Tyrell Gilbert, the strong side linebacker. And just look at that. Look at the point of attack. That's a 50-pound advantage. Yes, there is a lot of space to take advantage of, but ultimately, that's what you want. You want your big guy. You want to create matchups on a little guy that he could just own in space, and then sure, the whole lane comes a running.
First and goal, Ty Isaac. And it's Swilton Spate, who was not able to get a clean exchange with Isaac, has to cover up back at the 10-yard line, so it will be second and goal. But on the muff, Michigan loses 7 yards.
Strange, because it's not on the snap. He actually has it on the snap. Feels almost rushed. Right, you want to put that ball fundamentally right in your belly, so it's got a very short distance then to get right to the running back. It's just another unfortunate minus on the old grade sheet there, the attention to every last detail.
Play action for Spade. Floats it right, incomplete. Here's a big chance for the Cincinnati defense to have it all the way down. First and goal at the 3, coming off of your touchdown drive. If you can hold to a field goal here, it shortens the game. And you can sense that would build some confidence on that Bearcat sideline. Certainly would build some confidence in Marcus Freeman, who we just saw, the defensive coordinator with Luke Fickell. Four-man rush. Spade has all day. Floats it into double coverage. Incomplete, intended for Grant Perry. So it will be a field goal attempt for Michigan.
There's a little hush in the stands here, but there's nowhere to go. Just watch the play unfold. Again, zone coverage is the advantage of 3rd and 10. Cover to the bottom of the field. You got double coverage. The safety doesn't vacate. He takes away the inside seam, and really nowhere to go there for Spade.
Quinn Nordine became the first Michigan kicker to put 2 through from 50+ last week. This one from 28. And Michigan now has a 10-point lead. 17-7, Michigan on top. Back in Michigan, and look who is here with us for the coin toss, the honorary captain from Michigan today, our own Adam Schefter. University of Michigan class of 1989. Boy, he is old.
I'm a big numbers guy. What number do you think he would wear?
1. Well, Shefty will be there when we kick off week 1 of the NFL Sunday. ESPN is your spot, a new time and a new team. Sunday NFL Countdown at 10 a.m. Rex Ryan will join the crew, along with Charles Woodson, Matt Hasselbeck, Randy Moss, Morton Shefty, and our brand new host, Samantha Ponder. Well, all the early breaking stories, the injury updates, they'll take you right up until kickoff. The NFL, as college football is as well, is back. It's also streaming live on the ESPN app tomorrow. Devin Gray takes a knee. Our chance again to check in with Cassidy.
Thanks, Bob. We got a shootout at UNC. Number 17, Louisville, taking on the Tar Heels, and Chaz Surratt with a 5-yard TD pass to Brandon Fitz. They would take the lead on that touchdown. However, Lamar Jackson just threw a long touchdown pass to give Louisville back the lead. This one over on ESPN. Bob?
All right, Cassidy, thanks very much. Lamar Jackson off to a slow start, as was Louisville last week in a tight one with Purdue, and now on the road against North Carolina. What factor will the defending champion play in the Heisman race as the year goes on? We'll find out. Here's Jared Dokes. Wow. Quick around end out to the 40-yard line, a gain of 15 and a Cincinnati first down.
And that's well schemed. I mean, I'm giving Michigan a ton of credit on both sides, but I've got to give Mike Denbrock, that offensive staff, some credit too. You get in a spread there. Chase Winovich is out on the edge. He hesitates for just a moment. And since he may not have recruited enough size over the years, but they've got an awful lot of team speed.
Little zone read, quick handoff up the middle for 3 to Dokes. It'll be 2nd down and 7. Well, we watched the tape of Cincinnati taking on Austin Peay last week, and you talked about Cincinnati being very vanilla on offense. And I wondered, do you think that was the Austin Peay game plan, that it was almost like NFL preseason? We're going to stay vanilla on purpose. Are you seeing some things different that they saved for this game against Michigan?
A whole lot more. Yeah, a whole lot more. And I think some of that is dictated by, just the quality of defense and the scheme of defense. But I'll tell you, they get in these tight splits, you're going to get outside, out-breaking routes.
Moore does not see the blitz coming. Tyreek Kittle brings him down, a sack. Back to the 36. It'll be 3rd down and about 14.
This is again a disguise. There is nothing. There's no tell other than that flinch at the last moment that Cannell's coming, and you can see the running back right there, 23, Dokes. You got to scan. You got to scan inside out, but when you're looking at 2 linebackers in your vision flow away, that hesitation creates the lane there for Kimmel to deliver. And yet again, not a D lineman with sacks. Right, that was the case against Florida a week ago as well. Both sacks coming from the linebacker and secondary position today.
So Kimmel now with a sack to go with his pick 6. Moore with a pump fake into traffic, and it's incomplete. And Devin Bush draped all over Josiah DeGara. It'll be a punt for Cincinnati.
Get ready to call that name an awful lot in Ann Arbor over the next 3 years. Or I guess 2. The true sophomore. He played a season ago, played on a lot of special teams. But he's not your prototypical old school. Good conversation with Don Brown. Maybe with a more prototypical old school Big Ten linebacker. Furbush, 6'5", 240. Devin Bush does it differently at 5'11", 220. But that guy just flies all over this football field.
Donovan Peoples-Jones looking to get a return off. Breaks a tackle and weaves his way through a couple of other Cincinnati tacklers out to the 42-yard line for a return of 11 yards after only a 33-yard punt.
College football on ABC, presented by Walmart, is brought to you by Buick, proud partner of the NCAA. Pacific Life, experience the power of Pacific. And the Home Depot, more saving, more doing.
Perfect day to take a selfie here on the campus at Michigan. All during the pregame, we were looking at those selfies. They're yelling at me. This has something to do with Snapchat. Are you a Snapchat guy?
What's that?
Are you on Instagram? Facebook?
No.
Twitter?
Twitter. There
Yes.
you go. One of 4.
How many different social media platforms are we expected to keep track of? Information overload. Ty Isaac on the toss. Blockers out in front. First down, Michigan. Gain of 11. Our social media coordinator is down to the sideline. Allison.
It's interesting watching this Cincinnati team. They have been able to draw so much confidence from whatever type of success they've been able to have. On defense, when they've been able to hold them to a field goal, they're feeding off of that. On offense, scoring that touchdown was huge. The coaches just keep telling them, you can play with these guys.
Wilton Spade off play action. He's going to tuck it under. The rush was there. He's brought down right at the line of scrimmage by Kamani Fitz. So it will be 2nd down and 10, and I would believe as Cincinnati gets a few breaks that have gone their way, Brock, but you look up at the scoreboard and see yourself only down by 10 in a game where you were a 5-touchdown underdog. That has to breed some confidence as the game goes on, as Allison said.
It sure does, and this front for Cincy is good enough to hold their own. Some of the other pieces, some of the speed challenges, they'll show themselves over 4 quarters.
Chris Evans. It'll be 3rd down and 6 at the Cincinnati 43 as Perry Young made the stop.
But as much as anything, this is about Wilton Spate. This stadium watched him start so fast a season ago. 9-0 in his first start, stats off the charts, and then struggle as the competition got better. And last week, that Michigan defense gave up 3 points. Wilton gave up 14. And I would say through the first 3, 4, 5 possessions, not as sharp, right? The fumbled snap there and an overthrow here, and you just want to see him be crisp and on the details.
Four-man rush. Spate under some pressure. Eyes downfield. Sidearms one to Grant Perry. That was good quarterback play with the rush coming.
Yeah, that's tremendous quarterbacking, and that's where Wilton said his commitment to taking care of his body. 15, 20-pound difference from a season ago where he got beat up by the end of the year, and that wasn't really documented all that much. But when you can't train and you get heavier and you feel lethargic, you can't move like that. And he's never going to run. He's not going to be a runner, but like the great Tom Brady, who used to don this uniform as well, just create extra time in the pocket, especially on those third downs as he does there.
Fumble on the jet sweep, and it's recovered by Cincinnati. Cortez Broughton found the ball laying right at his feet as Kekoa Crawford couldn't handle the jet sweep handoff from Wilton Spate. It's another miscue by the Wolverines, their second turnover.
And this is all about timing. I mean, that is a tough, you've got a receiver and you want him at full speed. And it is about the timing of that snap and the execution, and Wilton is doing all he can to put it right into the gut. You could see Kekoa saying, hey man, I'm full stride. That thing hit me on the back of my rib cage there. You got to give it in front of me so I can go. That's a timing mechanism, but again, points to just the details and not being on it nearly as sharp as you need to be in this first half.
Boone finds a lane. Out to about the 39, close to the 40-yard line for a gain of at least 6 on first down.
And you didn't see this a week ago. Florida ran for 11 yards, and a lot of sacks had a lot to do with that. But you didn't see a 15-yard run here and a 7-yard run there, and especially on early downs. Some credit here to Boone, who's running awfully hard in a group up front last week that couldn't block Austin B. It's getting a hat on a hat and doing a decent job of getting some push on this formidable front.
Moore bobbled, incomplete. It'll be 3rd down and 4 after we bring you today's Aflac trivia question. Who are the only 2 teams from Ohio not named Ohio State to beat the Wolverines in Michigan Stadium? Give you a chance to think about that. 3rd down and 4. Big play here after the turnover.
Bunch to the top of the field, maybe a little screen pass.
Moore wants the slant. Bobbled again, and this one dropped. Would have been short of the sticks anyway to Thomas Geddes. So a good job dealing with sudden change. That Michigan defense gets a 3 and out after the offense fumbled the ball away.
That's tremendous rush right in the middle. Mo Hurst right there just does his job. The senior, he's sick and tired of seeing any yardage. And if Rashawn Gary changed his body, so did Mo. And his energy level, and do it any better right in the middle, gets in the face of the quarterback, and just some of that physical contact on the perimeter. Cincinnati has got to find a way to fight through.
Hayden Moore now 4 of 14 with a pick 6 through the air. Again, it's Peoples-Jones. Again, returnable. And it takes a handful of yards up the sideline. 30-yard line, field position pretty good for Michigan. When we come back, they've made mistakes. They're still up by 10. We are back in Michigan with our Pacific Life game summary. And just enough mistakes made so far by the Wolverines to keep Cincinnati in it, up by only 10.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think Michigan's been their worst enemy. In both the special teams phase with the punt and the fumble there, and fumble on the last jet sweep. It's timing. It's attention to detail. It's focus. It's being at home in front of your home crowd for the first time this season. And there's no excuse for some of the youth and inexperience. Self-inflicted errors.
Straight drop back for Spate. Under pressure. The pocket collapses. Cortez Broughton right up the middle. Wins his one-on-one and brings him down for the sack.
And he's their best player. He's their all-conference performer, and he's matched up against the big fella, the right guard, Owenu there. 350 pounds, and you lose on that first contact off the snap. This group from Cincinnati likes to stand slant. They like to move. They like to stunt. That time it was getting on the edge of the big guard winning.
Ty Isaac. Couple of yards shy of the original line of scrimmage. Jalen Minor tripped him up, so now it's 3rd down and 12. And a long 12 at that, as he barely got across the 27-yard line. The big house starting to get a little bit antsy. It was quiet for a while. Now you sense they're becoming somewhat impatient with their Wolverines. Here comes the blitz. Well picked up by the protection. That allows Spate to deliver a strike right at the 1st down marker. David Pierce drove back Tariq Black. It looks like a friendly spot for Michigan. If it's at the 40-yard line, it's a 1st down. Without measurement, the officials say 1st down.
I think you're going to want to, if you're Cincinnati, hope they take another look at that. Just the route. It is a curl route coming back. Man-to-man coverage, one of the first times we have seen some pressure. The ball is caught. He comes back to the football. He catches it at the 39. He never comes back to the 40. A secure tackle. You've got to take another look at this. Tremendous protection. Can't do it any better than that with a 6-man pressure. When he catches that football, he's at the 39.5 at best and going backwards.
Well, he caught the ball at the 40, but it was his own momentum that brought him back to the 39-yard line. If he catches it, right, and David Pierce comes up and makes contact at the 40,
correct,
then it's forward progress. But if you're not touched by a defender and it is your own momentum that brings you back to the 39-yard line, you're not going to get forward progress to the 40.
And you turn your shoulders to make a move upfield. So that's right. I think that's very well said, Bob. Maybe the very moment of the reception, he catches at the 40, but that curl route coming back to the football, which you are taught to do. Maybe the point of emphasis there with Tariq is to get a yard deeper. As a true freshman, his first home opener, get 1 more yard on that route.
Now, if this turns out to be what we think, and he is just short of the line to gain, and now it's 4th down and a ½ yard to a yard to go inside your own 40-yard line. Are you going for it if you're Michigan?
At a minimum, I'm bringing my offense out, and I am hard counting at all costs. I'm running my motion. I'm doing all that same, all of those antics pre-snap to see if I can get a flinch or two out of Cincinnati.
Here's the official decision.
After further review, the runner's forward progress was only to the 39.5-yard line. Therefore, he's short of the line to gain. It'll be 4th down and a ½ yard to go.
Now what do you do if you're Michigan?
Well, you've had a lot of self-inflicted errors. And frankly, at this point, I don't know if Jim Harbaugh trusts his offense. Fumbled snap here, jet sweep fumble there. I don't think he trusts it. His group has not given him the confidence and the trust to go for it.
Either that or you trust your defense so thoroughly that you'll play field position. Why take a chance? I might have the best defense in America. Let's go play defense and play field position. Let's see if Will Hart can change field position. Devin Gray back deep to receive, and this is a good punt. Gray will let it bounce, and it takes a hop into the end zone. So it will come out to the 20-yard line for Cincinnati when we return midway through the 2nd quarter, and the Bearcats hanging in at the Big House.
Cassidy Hubbard with your studio update. Ole Miss having some trouble with FCS UT Martin. Look at this run. Ladarius Galloway goes for 59 yards through some questionable tackling or lack thereof. 2 plays later, they would score a touchdown. Skyhawks up 16-7. This one over on the SEC network. Bob, Brock, back to you.
Yikes, the Taco Bell student section in Ole Miss, quiet right now, but they're making some noise in one of the great Taco Bell student sections in America here in Ann Arbor. Taco Bell, a proud partner of the College Football Playoff. Be on the lookout for Taco Bell student sections and passionate fans like these at games all season long. At the 20-yard line, Mike Boone. Evan Bush submarines him after a gain of a yard to the 21. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewart, Allison Williams watching Michigan do what they can to keep Cincinnati in the game.
Yeah, a couple freshmen there not communicating. Just some sloppy details with the ball handling, a jet sweep that's all about timing. It's mistimed. And because of it, we're sitting here at 17-7 instead of 28-0, 24-0.
Man, Cincinnati's got 63 yards of total offense and a quarterback that's thrown a pick six. And yet they're in the game late in the first half. Boone can't hold on. Hayden Moore threw it just behind him, and now it's 3rd down and 9.
That's a poor throw. And when you're playing man-to-man coverage, you have got to put it on people. And if you're going to make your living, which I think you have to do in this building, especially with the inexperience of Cincinnati up front, making a living, getting the ball out of your hands, and on these slants, these flats, these swing routes, you have got to have precision.
Hayden Moore is 1 for his last 9. He'll need a completion here to keep the drive alive for Cincinnati. Play clock down to 7.
It's man-to-man coverage.
Play clock at 3. Will they get the snap off? They will. Here comes the blitz. Hayden Moore's got no chance. You never know where they're coming from. All the different looks from that Michigan defensive front. Malik Hudson comes on a Viper blitz.
Yeah, you tell me. Where's it coming? Is it going to come here? Is it going to come here? Are they going to stunt? What is this guy doing out here? It is all of the iterations are going on in your mind there. And then ultimately, worst case scenario, you're left holding it. The ball's just got to come out.
And that's why you punt on 4th and 1 if you're Michigan.
That's exactly
why
right.
You don't take a chance, because you know there's a very good chance your defense will go out there and flip the field for you. Cincinnati was late running a player on the field, and as a result, the officials were holding play.
The 11th player ran onto the field, did not give the defense a chance to substitute. There is no play. It is still 4th down.
So it's not a penalty, but it will be still 4th down from the 15-yard line.
And you'll see it right at the very top of the screen. The gunner who's running late onto the field, he's going to try to come into your screen here. There he is. Allow the defense time then to substitute.
James Smith gets it away from the 5-yard line. Donovan Peoples-Jones lets it bounce. And now picks it up in traffic at his own 36. There was no reason for him not to at least call a fair catch and catch the ball in the first place, then takes a chance surrounded by some Bearcats. Let's answer our Aflac trivia question. The only 2 teams from Ohio not named Ohio State that have won here at the Big House. Ohio Wesleyan back in 1928 and Toledo with an upset in 2008.
Well, I know in 1928 there was no Snapchat. Facebook, Twitter, social media means.
I think Rich Rodriguez caught a little social media flack back in 2008 after Toledo won. Ty Isaac blasts ahead for 4.
And this has got to be back to basics here. If the game plan and your game plan was to be big on little, and we heard an awful lot of that yesterday, and you've got size advantages, your fullbacks, your tight ends, your big people, then you have got to get back to basics here. Cincinnati will get the ball to begin the half, but this has got to be one. If I'm Wilton Spade on that sideline saying, guys, we're going to run, and we're going to run, and we're going to run. And if we've got to play pass off of that, we will. Not going to allow these guys to go sideline to sideline and stunt into pressure. We're going to run right at them.
Instead, it's a little check down from Spade. That's his tight end, Zach Gentry, for a gain of 5. It'll be 3rd down and short. 1 of 5 different tight ends that Michigan will use. They roll those tight ends through their offensive game plan. And now they'll hurry up to the line and try and go with tempo on 3rd down and 1. Hand off to Isaac. Straight ahead run. The pile moves for a 1st down.
That did not look like much. But when you're talking attention to detail, Wilton Spade, did you see him? Right before the snap right there. Here's the advantage of a 4th-year player that's been here, that's got a season under his belt. They got a touchdown taken off the board, I think wrongfully last week, for a misalignment in formation. And that time, if he does not move his perimeter wide receiver to the line, it would have been a legal formation. Heads up play there from Spate.
Evans blown up behind the line. Jalen Minor knifes through to make a tackle for a 2-yard loss.
Well, he knifes through 2 Michigan players here. He doesn't even hit Evans, but it is the collateral damage that he creates, hitting fullback, hitting guard, hitting those folks right back into the backfield. That's our rodeo guy. After getting a carry in the first drive of this game, he has been much more physical at the point of attack.
4-man rush, empty backfields. Well short of the first down. The catch made by Sean McCune. Let's check in with Cassidy.
Yes, Bob, let's get another check on the battle for the Cy Hawk Trophy. Iowa State. Nathan Stanley to Matt Vandenberg. Diving 7-yard score. Hawkeyes on top 14-10 at half over on ESPN2. Bob, back to you.
It's a good rivalry game. 3rd down and 5 for Michigan here. Inside of 2:40 to go now before halftime. Wilton Spate steps up. Low throw. Is it scooped up? The officials say no. Incomplete. Grant Perry tried to get his arms under it. Now it's 4th down and 5. Just across the 50-yard line, and here comes the punt group. Let's take another look. That looks like that might be a catch. Looks like Perry got his hands underneath it. Before Michigan punts the football, they're going to want that replay booth to buzz down and say, hold up, let's take another look. And just before the punt snap, the whistles blow. Yes, they will stop play to see if Grant Perry scooped it up.
Prior to the snap, Michigan has called a timeout to challenge the ruling on the field of an incomplete pass. Plays under further review.
Good call by Jim Harbaugh.
A little pressure there from Cincinnati forces Spate to come up, but that left hand, as that left hand get under the football, I think that is the whole key there, is that left hand under the football, because from that point forward, you don't see movement, you don't see it hit the ground. You see a savvy Perry there, the junior, the elder statesman in the wide receiver crew.
Ruled incomplete on the field, so it has to be indisputable video evidence to overturn the call. Now, the way the ball bounces off of his hand and jumps back up, it certainly had the look of a ball that hit the ground and would be incomplete, but can you say he got that left hand underneath the football? Should that be a clean catch?
That call on the field is so critical. And replay guys will tell you, we went to the replay convention. This is the most difficult review they have. It's not targeting, not anything else. It is these catches, especially when they come in contact with the ground, and why that call on the field is so essential.
And as we zoom in, to me, it looks like he got his hand under the football and that the nose of the ball is off the ground.
It does.
And it's certainly worth the challenge.
Yeah,
you know, third down
no
to keep the drive alive, to maybe have this mean at least 3, if not 7 points before halftime. It's a good challenge by Jim Harbaugh.
Watch how hard that ball does bounce. I came back up here from the field, Bob, and I told you what, this is the hardest turf field that I have walked since my playing days. And it's going to be replaced after this season, but it is firm. It is worn down. It is a really fast, hard surface. And you saw that bounce right off the ground. Without dispute,
this was not a quick review, so obviously they took a look at every possible angle, and there must have been a little debate back and forth between the field and the replay booth as to what they think they saw. They have come to a decision.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands. 4th down.
So that tells you.
Initial replay review is initiated. There will be no charge timeout to Michigan. There
Oh, so they're actually going to give Jim Harbaugh's challenge and his timeout back, saying that the replay booth buzzed down in time before he even had to challenge to say, yes, that is worth taking a look at.
Well, that view is hard because that one looks like there's no dispute. View from behind, and you see the ball just bounce up at the rate it did, and that is where that call that is on the field initially, had it been called a catch, would not have been turned over as well. The call so critical, the first call.
Fair catch inside the 15 by Devin Gray. Coming up at halftime, we'll check in with Kevin Negandhi, Mac Brown, Booger McFarland. It's the State Farm halftime report. Wisconsin in a fight. Lamar Jackson in Chapel Hill, and they will look to the big one tonight between the Sooners and Buckeyes at the Horseshoe. All that and more. Scores and highlights coming up on the State Farm halftime report.
Well, I'll tell you this, if I'm Jim Harbaugh and you were able to salvage that timeout, 2.5 minutes to go here. Cincinnati's going to get the ball. They defer. They'll get the ball to start the half. I'm thinking about the usage of my timeouts here as well defensively.
A run into the line for Jared Dokes. And no timeout called for Michigan on first down, at least so far.
If you're Cincinnati, you better use every second of this play clock. You have to shorten possessions. You have to shorten this game. You have to be thrilled with the lack of offensive timing and execution to be down just 10 and knowing you get the ball to begin the second half.
They snap it with 10 on the play clock. They'll run it again. And now you have to think Michigan will call a timeout after a gain of 3, maybe 4 yards. 1:40 to go in the first half.
They're not.
Wow, this is very surprising. Michigan is letting a lot of time come off the clock by not using their timeouts. Now, there's something to be said for maybe not calling a timeout after first down, wanting to save a timeout for your offense if you get the ball back, but not calling a timeout after second down.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Third down and 6. And wisely, Luke Fickell is letting all the time come off the clock that he can before third down, and now he will call a timeout. So just over a minute to go in the first half. There has been mistakes made on the field by Michigan. Was that a mistake just made on the sideline by Jim Harbaugh not using his timeouts?
Well, he's going to hope they back him up here, take the timeout, and then have all 3 to play with offensively. But yeah, if that's me, I would have taken that second timeout. You know, we spent a lot of time in the open saying we didn't feel any of their youth and inexperience last week, right? When they played Florida and on the road and a huge opponent, but you come home and you've watched some freshmen just be a little hesitant at times, right? Being on the punt team, some of the other phases. I think I've felt a whole lot more of the youth today than at any point last weekend.
And the lack of clean play in the first half. You find this surprising?
I do, and if you're Wilton Spate, you were told before this game, don't look over your shoulder. There's not going to be any O'Corn in the plan as there was a week ago, and that should relieve some of that. You should play a little more freely, but I think unfortunately you've not played to the level of detail at that position that certainly Harbaugh's after.
And Cincinnati knew they were overmatched from a talent standpoint, but they have kept their cool. They haven't made, other than the pick 6, the killer mistakes. They set the screen up here. It is caught, and it's a first down and more. Devin Gray out across the 35 to the 37-yard line. A gain of 20. So Luke Fickell let the clock wind down as far as he possibly could before spending a timeout. He was trying to manage the clock just to get to the locker room at halftime, and now his offense rips off a big play and changes things. They still have a timeout. Floating one down the sideline and dropping it in perfectly is Hayden Moore to Jared Dokes. 2 plays, and it's first down inside the Michigan 40 for Cincinnati.
A tunnel screen was in the plan. It's been effective all 3 times they have run it. That time a little pick play, a little rub route, your wide receiver, a linebacker who's covering the running back. 2 concepts that are built to beat man-to-man coverage, and Cincinnati finally executes.
And the Bearcats get in field goal range before halftime. You see they're only about 4 yards away. Michigan blitz off his back foot, throwing it away is Hayden Moore. Smart play by the junior quarterback. Tonight on ESPN, it's number 13 Auburn and number 3 Clemson. Death Valley is the spot where Jarrett Stidham will lead Auburn against Deion Kane, Hunter Renfrow, and the defending national champions. Our coverage kicks off at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Also streaming live on the ESPN app tonight on ESPN. Second down and 10.
One-on-one to the bottom of the field.
Low snap, scooped up by Moore. Incomplete. Now it's third down and 10. The entire playbook is still at their disposal because they have a timeout. So they can use the middle of the field if they can get themselves into field goal range.
This is where you would just love having a big receiver you feel confidence in. It'll be the challenge for Michigan over the course of this season when they play a Penn State and a Wisconsin, and obviously Ohio State, those big people out on the edge to trust in one-on-ones.
Another tunnel screen. Too predictable. 4-man rush. Moore under pressure. Down he goes at the 39. Khalid Hudson brought him down. Well, they're not in field goal range, so what does Luke Fickell do? Well, he won't even have to worry about deciding. I think Michigan spends a timeout.
First charged. Timeout of the half. Michigan. It's a 30-second timeout. Will the game clock operator please reset the game clock to 20 seconds. 2-0, please.
Now you're Jim Harbaugh. You want to see the decision that the Luke Fickell on the other sideline is going to make. He's going to put his punt team out there with a 23-year-old freshman punter and his execution. I think you have got to punt here. You're going to get the ball to begin the second half. And with 20 seconds, you run a Hail Mary or you do anything of that nature, or you run the risk of getting a sack and you give them the ball in the middle of the field in 2 timeouts.
If you throw a Big Ben play into the end zone and it gets intercepted, all of a sudden Michigan could have a little speedy defensive back running down the field.
Yeah.
Who knows what might happen. The safe play, I would think, here is to punt it and just punt it through the back of the end zone.
And it's 4th and 9, so it's not as if you have to throw it into the end zone with 19 seconds to go or 20 seconds to go and the clock would stop and go up and clock it. But I think there's too many pieces, too many moving parts. Punt the ball, you get the ball to begin the second half.
And Michigan calling timeout does force Cincinnati to at least run a play here and see if they can execute. Looks like they're leaving their offense on the field, though. Maybe it is going to be some type of down the field Hail Mary type play, or maybe Hayden Moore just pooch punts. And now Cincinnati will call the timeout, and they'll bring their offense back to the sideline.
It's a 30-second timeout.
So Michigan does force Cincinnati to execute at least something here on 4th down, but using a timeout here begs the question why Michigan didn't use their timeouts on defense earlier to try and get the ball back for their offense. Cincinnati, of course, short circuits that strategy by ripping off a couple of big plays and almost getting into field goal range. Very interesting how the two coaches manage the clock in opposite ways from how you thought they might, and it almost worked out for the Bearcats.
You feel what I felt to some of the youth come into play in that first half a little bit more. And at times that shouldn't be terribly surprising, especially young players out on the road. There's sort of a bunker mentality. You're removed from the pressure and the expectations that you certainly will feel in front of 108,000 people in this building. Cincinnati is going to continue to be aggressive here, 4th and 11.
Empty backfield. Well, unless Hayden Moore pooch punts it, can their protection hold up? Can he reach the end zone? He's just going to throw it as far as he can. A flag down. Wow. It's going to be a defensive penalty against Michigan with 14 seconds to go in the half, and this will potentially put Cincinnati in field goal range.
Pass being thrown, holding, defense number 9, 10-yard penalty, automatic first down.
This is one of the matchups Denbrock wanted. He wanted his running back Boone on the linebacker McCray here, and you're going to see him run a little wheel route, and McCray just grabs him. As he's running by, there's going to be a hold there as he tries to keep the speedy Boone in front of him. And now you're taking real risk with 14 seconds.
This makes no sense to me. Unless you know you're going to get to the sideline with no timeouts left, you're inside field goal range. Maybe just throw one out of bounds. Instead, down the sideline, it is thrown out of bounds by Hayden Moore. And now you think with 9 seconds to go, maybe you send your field goal unit out there on this play, or do you throw the ball out of bounds again just to kill a few more seconds off the clock?
Yeah, I'm trying my field goal, and Pashley is going to kick today. And there was competition this week for Luke Fickell. He kicked a 50-yarder in the spring game. And this is risk management. He is just going to trust a one-on-one situation to the boundary.
And now it's too late to run your field goal unit out. The play clock's already down to 15, and you don't have timeouts. So you have to run a play here because you take a delay of game penalty trying to get your field goal unit on the field.
Playing with fire.
5 on the play clock. As Moore realize it. Down to 1. You can't take a delay of game penalty if you're Cincinnati, right on the verge of being comfortably inside field goal range, and they did.
Delay game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. And second down.
Put your
Clock was not
field goal
running. There's
kicking
no
team
10-second runoff
on the field and give yourself a chance to make this a one-possession game.
We were told that Josh Pasley made a 52-yarder in the spring game, and they feel comfortable from that distance. This would be about 51. Of course, a moment ago, it would have been about 46 before they took the delay of game penalty. A quick hitter to the sideline might get him those 5 yards back. 9 seconds to go in the half. And now a timeout will be called by Jim Harbaugh from his sideline.
Second charge timeout at half. Michigan, 30 seconds in length.
And there was some confusion there. For one of the first times, some confusion. And Don Brown said, no. I'm going to come on the field. It wasn't Harbaugh. It was defensive coordinator looking at some of his younger guys here. Confused by alignment there. But there's just little there's little reward for the risk that you're taking here with 9 seconds to go. You know, a bobbled snap, a sack, any negative play, a false start. You don't have a timeout now. You false start and you get a 10-second runoff. You don't even have a chance to kick the field goal. You see Boone right here. Yeah, he knows it. He's looking at the clock. He's the senior. Let's go. Now, what we don't know is warm-ups. Maybe a decision was made in warm-ups. It is a little bit breezy in some of the end zones. We're not good from 50. So that may have been a pre-game decision made, but otherwise, I think there is a lot of risk involved with what you're doing here.
Here comes the blitz. And throwing it as far as he can out of bounds is Hayden Moore. And now let's see if the field goal unit comes out on what would theoretically be the final play of the first half. And yes, they are going to try and kick it with Josh Pasley, but this will be from over 50 yards away. Hayden Moore cost them 5 yards, not getting his team set and taking a delay of game penalty.
Saw block kicks for touchdowns a week ago. 50-plus yard kick. New kicker this week wins the competition. A low kick here as you're trying to drive it. Also more risk of being blocked.
His career long is 45. He made a 52-yarder in the spring game. From 51. Knuckleball. No good. And that will take us to halftime. Cincinnati will start the third quarter with the football, down by 10. The State Farm halftime report coming up after a quick timeout. Welcome back to college football, presented by Walmart. You're watching the Big Ten on ABC. Just about set for the start of the third quarter. Cincinnati will begin the second half with the football, and they are hanging in at number 8 Michigan. It's a 10-point game, 17-7. The Wolverines have the lead. Bob Wischusen here with Brock Hewitt. Allison Williams down in the field. And Brock, if I would have told you before the game, especially considering how Michigan played last week, that they would have held Cincinnati to 105 yards of offense in the first half, and they had a pick six, what would you think the score would be? And yet it's 17-7.
Yeah, probably 28-3. Something along those lines. And Jim Harbaugh is also looking at a stat sheet that sees time of possession split. They haven't controlled the line of scrimmage. They haven't dominated. You take Peoples-Jones one run out, his fly sweep of 48 yards. The other 18 carries, 3.5 yards per carry, just 65 yards. It's not good enough for Michigan.
James Fogue for the first time won't reach the end zone. A muffed kick though on the return for Thomas Geddes. Almost a special teams giveaway for Cincinnati. They'll start at their own 15-yard line, Allison.
Take care of the football. That's what Jim Harbaugh told his team and me at the half. He said all those mistakes on offense kept them from getting in sync. Too many third and longs. I asked how he avoids those, what they need to do better in the earlier downs. Pretty simple. Do your job, take care of business. Now, if you want to hear what Cincinnati head coach Luke Fickell had to say to me at the half, go ahead and check out the ESPN app. It's loaded up there, guys.
He would not take the responsibility off of himself for that delay of game penalty that knocked them right to the edge of field goal range before halftime. Start the second half with a slant that has worked before to Khalil Lewis, but not this time. It'll be 2nd down and 10. And it's been a struggle offensively for Cincinnati until they started to move the ball before halftime on that last possession, but still came away with no points.
Yeah, the best play has been their little tunnel screen, their inside tunnel screen, allowing those offensive linemen to get out all 3 times was effective. And a little pick play with a running back out of the backfield, but every yard has been hard earned through the first half.
Michigan shows blitz. And running right into the teeth of that defense with nowhere to go is Mike Boone. 3rd down and 10.
Now, this is an awfully big 3rd down. We talk about it all the time. We will over the course of the season. The momentum that you gain going into halftime and coming out. The kickoff does not help. 2 downs get you nothing. You're at 3rd and 10. You were backed up here. The last thing you want to do is punt the ball and give Michigan favorable field position.
3 for 10 on 3rd down for Cincinnati. 4-man rush. Moore delivers a strike. Only his 2nd 3rd down completion of the game. This one to Devin Gray. And they're out to the 30-yard line, a gain of 15.
Just zone defense, and this pick 6 was against the same exact coverage and scheme. It was an in-breaking route that sailed on him for an interception. That time, a little corner route. And finally, we call Geddes' name and Gray's name. Some of these outside perimeter players finally give their quarterback an opportunity to convert.
Play action. There's the slant. Once again broken up. And Tyreek Kinnell running step for step with Khalil Lewis. Not much mystery for Kinnell as to where that ball's going. They've run that slant about a half dozen times.
And the reason they're doing that, just schematically, Bob, is there's so much mayhem going on around the line of scrimmage. Linebackers coming in and out. So you're trying to find the one lane that you know you have. And that lane into the slot there, and it's a bang-bang play, and they just have not hit it once.
Up the middle, Boone. That's a strong run. Mike McCray held on and limited him to a 5-yard gain, but Mike Boone at 5'10", only 205 pounds, showed some power picking up 5 yards and making it 3rd and manageable.
Well, this is a what am I going to learn about you kind of game for Luke Fickell and his new staff around him. And I think what he is learning, I think what he knew coming into the season, that Boone would be his most dependable and best offensive player. And I don't think anything has changed his mind through the first 35 minutes of play.
Out route, a little rub play perfectly executed to Jerron Rollins. And it's another 3rd down conversion for Cincinnati, a gain of 7.
Anytime you see that bunch formation, you know what is coming. They are trying to run that underneath coverage off, and the cover has to come out over the top. That's a true freshman Thomas there. And a nifty little throw there, too, creating the angle to get it out of his hands.
That immediate block. Maybe a Michigan fan says offensive pass interference. Why not?
Because the two tangle together.
Jared Dokes now in the backfield to the left of Moore.
And who initiates that contact?
Moore wanted to set up the middle screen. Noah Furbush was there to blow it up. 2nd down and 10.
You follow me? Unless it is so obvious that that receiver is initiating that contact, as much and as physical as Michigan plays with their guys in that press, they initiate that contact, and if there is a question there, you're not necessarily going to get that call if you're Michigan defensively.
Hayden Moore only 8 of 26 for 95 yards, but 2 for 2 on 3rd down on this drive. On a keeper. He's up the middle. Hayden Moore with a step. Into the open. Inside the 20. Finally brought down inside the 15-yard line of Michigan.
When we talk about math and we talk about the numbers game and how Michigan loves to create one more extra guy around that line of scrimmage, and the way to offset it, you know, the old school nature was Wildcat. And that was the first iteration, and now you're seeing more zone read concepts there. Maybe more athleticism out of Moore than this defensive staff anticipated.
Moore slips one into the flat to Tyler Cogswell, and he is cut down at the 10-yard line by Khalid Hudson. Hayden Moore came into today with 76 yards rushing for his career. He just ripped off 46 to make it a red zone opportunity for Cincinnati, trying to make it a one-score game.
Play man-to-man, you're going to give up some big plays, and you spread the field as much as Michigan's going to see with opponents, and they run DBs and safeties out of there. And if you can get through that first wave, as Hayden did, there's opportunities for chunk plays.
10th play of the drive. Moore floats one towards the goal line, reaching back is Khalil Lewis. He's got it for a Cincinnati touchdown.
That stacked alignment. Very similar to the last one, and once again, that is not offensive pass interference. You see the defensive back, Brandon Watson, he makes contact there, and all you're trying to do is impede the route of that other defender. Make him go over the top, make him go underneath, create that lane. What a fantastic drive by Cincinnati to begin this second half.
Cincinnati had 105 yards of total offense in the first half. That was a 10-play, 85-yard touchdown drive to open up the second half. Cincinnati last week struggled to beat Austin Peay 26-14. They were 5 touchdown underdogs coming into today's game against Michigan, and yet Michigan has made just enough mistakes. And a game Cincinnati crew is in it. Koa Crawford inside the 5. Just across the 20-yard line as we take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. And there have been, Brock, Michigan miscues that Cincinnati has taken advantage of.
You want to keep a 5-touchdown underdog in a game, lose a turnover battle. And 2 fumbles there for Michigan in the first half. And, you know, to me, there was nothing about miscues. It was about opportunity and seizing it for Cincinnati on that opening drive. Multiple huge 3rd down conversions. Tremendous concepts there by Mike Denbrock, offensive coordinator in the red zone, to win.
Ty Isaac with a cutback. And he picks up 8 on first down.
This is what it's got to be. I mean, simply put, just push it all to the side. You have got to get back to the basics of who and what you are this season. And that is going to be a run-first team.
And maybe play with some tempo. Power run here for Isaac. Blockers out in front. Runs into his own man. Still picks up the first down. Sean McCune, the tight end, made the tackle for Michigan.
You're talking between your fullbacks and tight ends, 7 of them. 6'4", 250 pounds. Your jet sweep, we illustrated it earlier. The big play of the game, you capitalize on that advantage. Cincinnati wants you to run little stick routes. They want you to run little movement and get ball to the perimeter. They don't want to be with that size disadvantage run right at.
Play action for Spade. Bootlegs out to the right. Underneath finds Tyrone Wheatley for 7. Carter Jacobs made the tackle.
Spade played a much better second half a week ago than he did a first half. I would expect the same. I would expect him to be sharp in some of this tempo and getting in and out of the huddle. Sometimes you can just tell the confidence of a team by how crisp they are coming out. We saw that with Cincinnati. They gained a little confidence on that possession out of halftime.
Two tight ends, the true freshman Donovan Peoples-Jones in motion. Play action for Spade. High throw, almost intercepted. Peoples-Jones was the intended receiver, and Malik Clements was lurking behind and had a chance at a pick.
That has to be picked. I mean, that has to be picked. If you're gonna win this game and not just feel good about yourself and that you are in it, this is the very similar misfires we have seen. They've been high and away for Wilton Spate. Play is there, it's in front of him, and I know that's a reactionary play for Clements. He's not expecting that ball. That is not an easy play by any means. But you want an upset. Keep continuing to win that turnover battle. They had an opportunity.
3rd down and 3. 4-man rush. Spate hit as he throws to the sideline. It's incomplete. A stunt up front with a flag out late. Got to Wilton Spate, and that forced the errant throw. Brian Wright was all over Spate. What's the call? That flag came out very late, seemingly after the play was over. And it's against Michigan, a 15-yard penalty.
Result of the play is an incomplete pass. After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct offense, number 70. That 15-yard penalty is enforced from the previous spot. The down counts. It's 4th down. So the first unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on number 70.
This was some of the challenge a week ago. This is just a tackle and stunt, and you saw Florida get after Wilton Spate a week ago. And that was the, technique-wise, you want your tackle to vertical set, and these two have to talk and pass it off. They have to. And you just do not see that level of communication. A free runner forces the early throw. Some frustration mounting in this building, Bob.
A chance now for Cincinnati to tie or take the lead as they're about to get the football back. Returnable for Devin Gray. Bottled up. Still pretty good field position. The Bearcats at their own 33-yard line, down by only 3 here in the 3rd quarter at a very quiet Big House.
College football on ABC, presented by Walmart, is brought to you by Taco Bell and the Steak Quesarito Box. And BMW. We only make one thing, the ultimate driving machine.
Jim Harbaugh through the years, although the coach right now without a smile on his face underneath that Michigan cap on the sideline, as his team is in a battle. Only a 3-point lead over Cincinnati. The Bearcats went right down the field 85 yards on their first drive of the 2nd half to make it a 17-14 game. And they'll run the sweep to the near side to Khalil Lewis. He's got about 3.5 yards.
And that's a win. And that's what Florida could not do a week ago at any point against Michigan offensively. Just 11 rushing yards for the entire game. Sacks played a big role in that. But just getting positive yards on 1st down, getting to 2nd and 7. As long as it's not going the other way. And I like this aspect too. Take a little time. Shorten this game.
Just don't take a delayed game penalty. Or force yourself to call a timeout. Now they're set 10 on the play clock. Mike Boone sets up a big 3rd down after we check in with Cassidy.
Thanks, Bob. Back to Louisville and UNC. Former LSU QB Brandon Harris in at quarterback for an injured Chaz Surratt, and he throws an absolute laser to Thomas Jackson, a 22-yard score. Tar Heels up 28-27 on ESPN. Bob, Brock, back to you.
While fire up the app, there is no reason to miss their game or our game. Louisville and North Carolina go back and forth. A surprisingly close game here in Ann Arbor. 3rd down and 3 for Cincinnati. Here comes the Michigan blitz. It's picked up. Hayden Moore, errant throw. Oh, he had a wide open Thomas Geddes in the soft spot of that Michigan zone. And it'll be 4th down. A missed opportunity on 3rd down for Cincinnati.
Yeah, and there's some frustration there because the previous 3rd down was a little corner route that was converted. And that time, that was a misfire of both throw and route. Pretty decent pickup by this Cincinnati group. I'll tell you, that series more than anything, 2 early runs, taking a little bit more clock, Bob. To me, that's Luke Fickell, head coach, saying, hey, man, my defense is growing in some confidence here. Defense only giving up 10 points in this game.
Now it's Grant Perry back to receive the punt. He'll call for a fair catch at his own 26-yard line.
And part of the reason they've only given up 10 points is because Wilton Spade is not in much rhythm today. It was a priority for him to get right, some mishandling there in the run game. And these were the misses. The pick sixes last week were all high. And these are the misses, the missed timing on the jet sweep. That's a little on wide receiver and quarterback. And then right here on that last possession, a deep over route, a throw that he likes to make, just sails on him. The thought and the belief going in was this is your game. Do not look over your shoulder. And hopefully some of the rhythm would come, and it's not.
Ty Isaac, blockers out in front, flag down. He's down the sideline. It might be coming back as Isaac steps out of bounds inside the Cincinnati 45, but a flag thrown back at the line of scrimmage.
It's going to be Nate Shanley, I believe, 81.
Holding. Offense, number 81. 10-yard penalty from the spot of foul. Repeat first down.
And it was a pretty good acting job by Tyrell Gilbert as well, the strong side linebacker. Hands get outside the frame, and Tyrell says, hello, like Herm Edwards. I'm picturing, hello, hello. Hands outside the frame there, and Jim's disappointed, but that's going to be an obvious call. That back judge or side judge looking into that toss sweep coming.
Spot foul, so it costs Michigan 8. Chris Evans on a dive for a couple of yards. It'll be 2nd down and 16.
Our rodeo man has played himself a well of a ball game. And as much as Michigan feels a little different from a week ago, Cincinnati feels 180 degrees different. They were tight. They played not to lose against Austin Peay. That's now 8 tackles for Minor, the middle linebacker. And right now it's hair on fire. And they're playing with everything to gain. And you can see it.
Empty backfield for Spade. This time they pick the stunt up, but it's an underneath throw to Kakoa Crawford, worth about 5 yards. So now it'll be 3rd down and a long 10, close to 11 for Michigan. The only fans on their feet making any noise here at the Big House, a little ribbon of fans in red that are here from Cincinnati trying to urge on their defense. There they are up at the top in the cheap seats. 3rd down and a long 10. Spate misdirection. Checks it down underneath. Nothing there for Tariq Black. Diagnosed immediately by Chris Murphy.
Listen to him now. There is a cascade of boos. Raining down on offense right now that, again, remember, UC-17, that was a pick 6 with 7 of it. And this is Cincinnati that is just playing with tremendous confidence. They're winning the early downs. That's the difference. And they're getting to 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, playing their zone and firing downhill to tackle well.
Short kick, a shank. Out of bounds. This may not have even gotten across Michigan's own 40-yard line. Let's see where the officials say it went out of bounds. A friendly spot at the plus 46 for Cincinnati when we come back. Cincinnati has the ball in Michigan territory, down by 3, and their defense is playing. As we take a look at the all-states, all-hands in play, right in the middle of most of what Cincinnati has done today has been Jalen Minor.
Defensive line was the strength of this Cincinnati team. If you're going to go on the road as a heavy underdog, win the turnover battle, and then hold your own at the point of attack, and Cincinnati's done both of those. Thus, 3-point game here with 5 to go in the 3rd quarter.
Out of the pistol, play action, misdirection for Hayden Moore. Looking downfield, checks it down underneath, bobbled and dropped by Mike Boone. Bob Wischusen here with Brock Huard, Allison Williams down on the field. And a stunned 107,000 in the big house.
At some point here, there's going to be 2 plays over the next 20 minutes. There's going to be another tunnel screen, an inside screen, where you see the Cincinnati linemen allow all that rush to go and try to get out in front, and you will see a quarterback run. A zone read where Hayden Moore is going to look to take advantage of that mathematical opportunity with all the man coverage Michigan plays. Those 2 plays will come into view here before this day is done.
The play clock was winding down, and a break for Cincinnati as the officials had to put the ball on the correct hash. So that resets the play clock and gives Hayden Moore a chance to get his team set. Straight 4-man rush. Moore takes a shot for Khalil Lewis. He had a step. It's a walk-in touchdown if Moore puts a little more air under the ball as we go back to Cassidy.
Thanks, Bob. Back to Ames. Cyclones down 21-17 to the Hawkeyes. On 4th and 1, Jacob Park to a wide-open Hakeem Butler. 30-yard score. Iowa State now on top, 24-21 over on ESPN2. Bob, Brock, back to you.
You don't get many of those, Bob. That is not a hard throw with the entire field. That, unfortunately, was a missed touchdown from Hayden Moore.
Great games everywhere, though. Fire up the ESPN app and watch them all at the same time. 3rd down and 10. Hayden Moore, 4-man rush. Floats one left. Into traffic. Dangerous throw intended for Devin Gray. On 2nd down, Cincinnati misses a deep shot. And on 3rd down, Michigan's defense gets a stop, and a huge stop at that. Starting in plus territory, they go nowhere, 3 and out.
Could you imagine the vibe of this building if he hits that? I mean, he is 5 yards. That's the matchup you want. Your best player on a safety. He beats Metellus by 4 yards. Unfortunately, Moore overthrows it by the same distance. Otherwise, you're looking at 21-17 right now in the big house.
And once again, Grant Perry, the junior, back deep to receive the punt. A short kick sky high. Perry, fair catch, just inside his own 20-yard line. So James Smith could not pin Michigan deep. As that is not the punt you want. 26 yards. We have an All-American U.S. Women's Open Championship match today at 4 Eastern on ESPN. Madison Keys takes on Sloane Stephens. Both are playing in their first major final. You can always watch it live on the ESPN app if you're on the go this weekend. Sloane Stephens, one of the lowest ranked finalists in the history of the women's bracket of the U.S. Open.
That is remarkable.
Amazing. Wilton Spieth forces one to the sideline looking for a flag. None comes out. Tariq Black, the intended receiver. He had Lyndon Stevens draped all over him. But the officials let the hand-to-hand combat play.
They've been doing it. This is freshman on senior.
That's a fistful of jersey, though.
That could have very easily been called. The initial contact there made by the freshman, Black, but yeah, I think that could have easily been called because once that jersey is tugged, you usually see the penalty flag.
That should have been called. That's a miss from the officials and a break for Cincinnati. Spade over the middle. On time, in stride. Zach Gentry, the tight end. Across the 50. Gain of 36.
Well, there's one of our bigs, not just only in the run game. That's our middle linebacker, Minor, who has been so good in run defense. Clement's a strong safety, a poor angle on the tackle. And for one of the first times, a little catch and run ball, a little bit of just tempo and rhythm that you expect to see out of this Michigan crew, who now has to burn a timeout.
Michigan calls a timeout.
First timeout and a half. Michigan.
And if they would have snapped the ball, they would have gotten a free 5 yards. Cincinnati had 12 men on the field. So another break for Cincinnati as they were very late trying to run a player off. Down by only 3, 4:42 to go in the 3rd quarter. And Luke Fickell with a team that struggled last week to beat Austin Peay. And they have a couple of top 10 wins in their history going back to 1999 in the game's final 8 minutes against Wisconsin. The Badgers burned themselves in the red zone with a fumble, a muffed punt, and a touchdown call back, losing to Cincy 17-12. And then in 2008, Rutgers was a top 10 team, but Mark D'Antonio's Bearcats got the win, and they rushed the field in Cincy. Only down by 3, 2-34 all time against the AP top 10. After the Michigan timeout. Hand off to Karan Higdon. Met behind the line. Marquise Copeland. A 1-yard loss as we go back to Cassidy.
Bob, Lamar Jackson putting up insane numbers again. The reigning Heisman Trophy winner with the nifty 3-yard TD run. He has 325 passing yards, 121 rushing, 4 total TDs, 33-28 Louisville early in the 4th on ESPN. Back to you.
Well, what a great game that is at Chapel Hill. Spade back to throw. Short of the first down. Sean McCune made the catch about 4 yards shy. It'll be 3rd down and 4. And a big play coming here for the Michigan offense. Maybe 4 down territory inside the Cincinnati 40-yard line. Higdon has the first down.
That's a much better job, and that's what you're going to maybe have to see. Michigan prides itself on being what you call a gap team. They love 2-on-1s or ISO, getting fullbacks on linebackers. They're not typically a zone run team, but they've got so much run game to go to. And that time, Tim Drebzo said enough's enough. We're losing these 1-on-1 battles. Let me just use the entirety of my offensive line, run a zone concept there to finally move the chains in the run game.
Play action, Spate looking downfield, throws into double coverage, into the end zone, incomplete. Tariq Black was sandwiched. Malik Clemens got help for Grant Coleman. Lyndon Stevens back there as well. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
That's awfully dangerous right there. Good drive, an effective drive. I know you love your young freshmen. Give them an opportunity to go up and get it, but anytime you're throwing into a deep safety, you're throwing in the fire.
Spate over the middle. Catch and run for Grant Perry. At the 10, at the 5, dives into the end zone. That's a Michigan touchdown. Touchdown catch for the junior from Bloomfield Hills, and Michigan back on top by 2 scores.
Don't repeat mistakes. That's one of the key when you've got young people. We showed a line stunt earlier that got home for a sack. Look at your right guard and right tackle communicate. That is well done. You get a vertical set, you get your right guard Owenu to pass that off. Can't do it better than that. And if you give Spate some opportunity and some air in that pocket, he is much more comfortable. And on top of that, you get the matchup you want. You get your most explosive player in the middle of the field, Grant Perry, on the rodeo man. You get a bad angle from the safety Clements, and you get a much needed touchdown in this building that I think is going to energize a defense and should certainly help the 108,000 that were getting a little hesitant in a game a whole lot closer than any of us anticipated.
Yeah, that feels, doesn't it, Brock, like a game-stabilizing touchdown for Michigan. It was almost as if when Cincinnati came out, scored the touchdown to start the 3rd quarter, that the crowd had to look up at the scoreboard and convince themselves that Michigan was still winning.
Yep.
It felt like they had fallen behind, or at least tied. They were still on top by a field goal. Now they're on top by 2 scores. You can kind of feel the sigh of relief from all the maize and blue. Geddes will take a knee. Let's take a look at this week's college football rankings, brought to you by Capital One. How things stand right now, and only a couple of teams in the top 10 playing as we speak. Most of the rest this afternoon or tonight. Of course, the Florida State game canceled because of Hurricane Irma.
That's a big one out west. USC, Stanford. USC stubbed their toe a week ago against Western Michigan. Couldn't play defense. Darnold a couple interceptions. And Stanford has owned that matchup recently. A little bit like this game. Right early in the season, September, we learn an awful lot. No matter how much hype or conversation there is, we've got to see the teams play. We'll have to see whether or not USC is what they were a year ago.
And Cincinnati now answer. Dokes dodges a tackler in the backfield. Net though immediately by Devin Bush. And picked up a yard. Brock, who do you like tonight in Death Valley on ESPN? Auburn, Clemson, Jarrett Stidham goes up against Deion Kane, Hunter Renfrow, and the defending national champs. Our coverage kicks off at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Also streaming live, of course, on the ESPN app.
Dabo likes playing the SEC, and Dabo likes that defensive line. And Stidham a transfer. I saw that their spring game transfer from Baylor. It's going to be an awfully new experience for him. I like Clemson.
Blitz off the edge, a screen behind it. Khalil Lewis close to a first down, a yard shot.
And there was our tunnel screen. They call it a tunnel. You try to funnel it inside, create that tunnel, get big people out in front, receivers block. You knew you were going to see that. After the missed touchdown to Khalil, where he had so badly beaten Metellus, the safety, come back to your best people. What Michigan did, Graham Perry, and their matchup inside. Lewis and Boone, the two difference makers for Cincinnati offensively.
3rd down and 1. Jared Dokes stuffed at the line. Right into the strength of that Michigan defense. He went nowhere. It'll be 4th down.
Yeah, you're running right into Brian Monet, the big nose tackle at 325 pounds. And you got McCray, you've got little Devin Bush right in there sneaking his way into it. Look at this.
4th down and 1. Are they going to snap the ball? A look over with 13 on the play clock. You might need the timeout that you could end up calling here to bring your punt group out. They're still looking over to the sideline. 2 on the play clock. And now they do call a timeout. To me, that's a waste. If you're not going to be up there hard counting to see if Michigan's going to jump off sides, and you're just letting the clock wind down, you're spending a second half timeout, which is so much more valuable than a first half timeout.
Yeah, I know Luke was a head coach on an interim basis there at Ohio State. That entire season there when all went badly with Jim Tressel, but there's just been some clock management that he, and this is all new for him and this staff here, and starting anew. You know, I'm with you, Bob. If you just go ahead and punt here, you wasted a timeout. To not come up to the line of scrimmage and fake a QB sneak or do something of that nature.
I have no problem if you want to bring your group out there to see if you can get an aggressive defense to jump with a hard count. They just stood there with 15 on the play clock and looked over to the sideline before they waited to call a timeout. Harry goes back to receive the punt. It was Donovan Peoples-Jones throughout the entirety of the first half, but Michigan, of course, had a gaffe on a fumble punt. And I guess Jim Harbaugh wants his more experienced player out there to secure the football. That's a pretty good kick inside the 20-yard line. As James Smith is able to change field position. Allison?
Well, this crowd and the Michigan sideline starting to show a little more life now. It's been pretty quiet down here, and I understand to a certain extent that's the personality of this Michigan team. You look at both the head coach and the quarterback, neither one a real fiery or rah-rah guy, but it's been quiet. And after that score, then getting off the field here, you're starting to see some life. Guys are standing on benches, they're talking more. And Coach Harbaugh even came over to that offense and was banging on everybody's shoulder pads, clapping them up, showing some emotion and some energy down here now.
Well, this is a drive that could just about put the game away as Isaac starts it, trying to get to the edge. And he is ridden down at about the 25-yard line.
The hometown faithful were thinking horse collar there. And that was going to generate that call there.
It's grabbed just inside the back of the jersey, but there was not that immediate yank to the ground that would lead to a horse collar call. And that's a second down carry for Ty Isaac that moves the chains.
Yeah, I think Tyrell Gilbert there, the defender, knew it. He knew right away that where he placed his hands, if he pulls and yanks and stops that from a momentum standpoint, you're going to get that call.
Isaac may have been shaken up a bit as he comes over to the sideline as we go to the end of the third quarter. So Michigan with the football in a 2-score lead as we start the fourth here at the Big House. Jim Harbaugh's team last week convincing over Florida 33-17 in a struggle this week in the home opener with the Bearcats. Fourth quarter coming up.
Todd Wenzel Chevrolet is offering the biggest savings of the year during our Labor Day sales event. Right now, get $5,000 over Kelley Blue Book Fair condition when you trade up to a new Chevy. Get $5,000 more for your trade and lease a new Chevy Malibu for just $69 a month. Or lease a new Chevy Equinox for only $79 a month with $5,000 more for your trade. Get Labor Day savings and $5,000 more for your trade only at Todd Wenzel Chevrolet in Hudsonville. Or shop over 3,000 new vehicles at toddwenzel.com.
It's your choice. Don't drive distracted. Just drive.
Don Brown with his defense over on the Michigan sideline. A lot of emotion as the Wolverines got that last stop. Give it back to their offense to start the fourth quarter. 24-14. Michigan trying to really stabilize this game. And Brock Ewart, you kind of sense now for Cincinnati that their defense is playing with no margin for error, down by 2 scores to start the fourth. Ron Higdon to the sideline to pick up 5.
And you would also sense now from Jim Harbaugh, Tim Drebno, a veteran staff, Pep Hamilton has joined that staff, that this is time where you take about 6 minutes off this clock and you do it your way. There may be some short, safe, conservative completions, which we have seen a bunch. It's also running that football, wearing your opponent down.
Instead to throw is Spade. Knocked down at the line. Brian Wright climbed the ladder and forces 3rd down and 5, so another chance for Cincinnati's defense to get a stop.
Give me 1st and 10 and I get 5 yards on a run. I'm not getting cute. I'm going to keep running it. I got a 1st down in my previous 2 runs. I'm not going to let the strength of Cincinnati's team, which is their 4-man rush, and some of my inexperience, especially on the right side of my offensive line, come into play.
Pressure on Spade, throws it off his back foot, incomplete. Pressure came up the middle. Brian Wright was able to get Wilton Spade off his spot, had to float just a little bit left and throw it off balance, and Cincinnati has forced a punt.
And it's the same thing. I mean, they're just tackle and stunts. And you're not picking them up very efficiently. You didn't a week ago against Florida, got sacked 5 times. You have seen it create some hiccups today. As for me in my big house, I am going to run the ball in the 4th quarter, and I'm going to wear down an opponent. It feels like they're still very much in this game, Bob.
Wobbly kick from Will Hart, his 6th punt of the day, and it goes out of bounds again. And it's short. Cincinnati will start across their own 40, at their own 45 when we come back.
All ESPN coverage is streaming live on the ESPN app. Download now and take ESPN everywhere.
You can watch all the college football on the app. You can watch Monday Night Football on the app. Week 1, it's a doubleheader. Kicks off Monday on ESPN and ESPN2 in Spanish. Drew Brees and the Saints taking on Sam Bradford and the Vikings at 6:55 Eastern. And then at 10:15, our own Beth Mowens, along with Rex Ryan, calling Phillip Rivers and the Chargers taking on Von Miller and the Broncos. The doubleheader streams live on the ESPN app on Monday night. Back-to-back 21-yard punts for Michigan's Will Hart. Great field position, Hayden Moore. Long throw to the sideline, bobbled and almost intercepted. Brandon Watson had a chance to change the game. There is a flag down, though, in the offensive backfield as Hayden Moore was slow to get up.
That could be a roughing call.
Personal foul roughing the passer with targeting. Defense number 3, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Wow.
Plays under review.
Rashawn Gary could be lost not only for the rest of this game, but the first half next week as well.
So remember, the targeting is what you are going to review, and that should be taken away. But the roughing call, because that was called with it, that will stand.
So the late hit on Hayden Moore is going to give Cincinnati a first down and a 15-yard penalty one way or the other. The question is whether or not Rashawn Gary will stay in the game. Forcible contact to the head or neck area, or leading with the crown of your helmet. Did you see either of those two on that play?
Yeah, I think that is a forceful shot, but it's to his chest or to his shoulder pad.
And not with the crown of the helmet.
The eyes are up. I think just simply the force that Rashawn Gary creates when he hits you at 280 pounds.
I think the crowd is seeing the same that we are seeing, which is the face mask
is up
in the chest rather than the crown of the helmet or the forcible contact to the head or neck area.
And to be honest with you, you also, to me, comes into question how late that is. I mean, we're looking at it in slow-mo and understand how fast those things happen for Rashawn Gary. That ball is just barely out of quarterback's hands before he hits.
Here's the call.
After review, there is no foul for targeting. Number 3 may remain in the game. However, by rule, the roughing the passer penalty is enforced. 15 yards, first down.
So just as we thought, it will be a first down for Cincinnati at the Michigan 40-yard line, down by 2 scores.
In real time? And Rashawn Gary just sees that ball just out of his hand. That also is a tough roughing call. And typically, if there's an extra step for that defender, you protect the quarterback at all costs. Particularly agree with that call, and they got it right. That was not targeting. That's a 280-pound man. And finally gets to hit somebody. First time we've called his name in some time.
Normally, as the bitter old quarterback, you would have sided for protecting the quarterback there. I'm glad to see that you're able to kind of come out of your shell in that regard. Nowhere to go. Low snap that Hayden Moore scooped up. And that threw the entire timing of that play with Mike Boone off. Chase Winovich made the stop, but it's a loss of 2.
Just from a game management standpoint, once again, Bob, I am utilizing this, whether it's been by design or not, and many times they've been discombobulated. But I want to shorten this game. I want to shorten possessions, make sure I get to the very best play that I can if I'm the Bearcats.
Second down at 12. Rashawn Gary comes off the edge and forces the high throw and the incompletion. Third down at 12.
I think he just woke up to 111,000. I sold him short at 108. And there is the commitment to the speed, the quickness, the power. And as an old bitter quarterback, that hurts.
Four-man rush. Long throw down the sideline through the hands of Khalil Lewis and incomplete. Looked like it was catchable inside the 10. It looked like Hayden Moore couldn't throw it any better, and Khalil Lewis couldn't make the play.
Man, what guts does Hayden Moore show right here? He gets smashed the previous play. It's bearing down on him once again this time, and he could not have thrown it any better.
You have to make that catch.
I mean, that's 2 guys. And Khalil, I'm sure, said to him the previous possession, man, you got to put it on me. You have got to give me an opportunity when I meet a defender like I did. And Hayden's going to go back to him and say, hey, man, sometimes I miss, sometimes you miss, but we've got to find a way to connect. Those are 2 plays, back-to-back possessions. They're points.
Fair catch inside the 15-yard line is made by Grant Perry. First and 10 for Michigan with a 10-point lead, but at the very least, it should have been first and goal for Cincinnati. Right through the hands of Khalil Lewis.
College football on ABC is presented by Walmart. Walmart. Save money. Live better. In part by Pacific Life. Experience the power of Pacific. And the fun new Fit Sport from Honda.
The entire Michigan football team took a trip with several players to Rome, and then some of those players went on to study abroad throughout Europe. A great experience over the summer. And now a great experience playing in front of 111,000 plus here, home opener at the Big House. A mistake-filled first half by Michigan allowed Cincinnati to stay in the game. The Bearcats opened up the second half with a touchdown drive, but Wilton Spate and the Wolverines, up by 2 scores, have stabilized things somewhat. Toss power, and getting to the edge is Ty Isaac. He's down the sideline. Isaac in the open. One man to beat. Knocked out of bounds. All the way down at the Bearcat 34-yard line. Grant Coleman saved the touchdown. Ty Isaac has 53 yards.
Well, it was a big play earlier, and Shanley had the holding call, and this time no holding call, and the Big Uglies get out in front. You can't do it any better. That is textbook. As is Isaac on the sidelines. You knew that they too would come back to that play. But with everything that Cincinnati has had to commit, with their line stunts and their linebacker blitzes and everything to stop that interior run, Jim Harbaugh saw it work. The previous possession, a holding call negated it. That time clean fundamentally in the big explosive play they have been searching for.
Play action off the end around. Wilton Spate looking for the end zone. Broken up at the goal line. That was great coverage by Perry Young, running deep with Khalid Hill on the wheel route. The fullback slash tight end just about got loose.
And this staff loves Perry Young. Just a little bit late allows him to react, but they love him because of the athleticism. Call him the Tasmanian Devil, the body control. Wilton knows it may be just a tad earlier, but a phenomenal play by Perry and the makeup speed and athleticism to force the incompletion.
Spade extends the play to the sideline, trying to find Kakoa Crawford as we check in with Cassidy.
And Bob, another reminder, Lamar Jackson is still really good at football. Here he is throwing for his 5th total touchdown, and so far he has 514 yards of offense, most ever against a UNC defense. That one on ESPN. And coming up after that game at 4 Eastern, the women's final at the U.S. Open, American Sloane Stephens and Madison Keys in their first Grand Slam final, again on ESPN. Back to you guys.
If you want to get yourself right back into the talk of possibly defending the Heisman, I think that young man from Louisville is doing a pretty good job of it today. 3rd down and 10. They run it with Isaac. Breaks a tackle and is brought down at the 32-yard line. Perry Young made the stop. Now it's 4th down and 8. Now last week, Quinn Nordine made 2 field goals from outside of 50 yards. So this is certainly inside his range. But it looks like Michigan's going to go for it on 4th and 8. If you kick a field goal here and Nordine makes it, you're up by 2 touchdowns. Here's a chance for Cincinnati to get a turnover on downs. 8 on the play clock. Spade back to throw. Up the seam. Kakoa Crawford. First down. Inside the 15, down to the 12. A 4th down conversion. And a gain of 20.
And that was a throw with some authority. And Luke Fickell decided to play a little zone coverage again. Trust his 4 to get home to impact the pocket like they have through a majority of this game. And Wilton Spade said, not again. I'm going to plant that back foot and I'm going to throw that skinny post. And even if it's a foot behind, it doesn't matter because I threw it with such anticipation and authority.
Spade on a keeper. Stiff arm. To the 7.
That's good eating right there. That's a commitment to eating everything that grows out of the ground or breeze. as he reminded us yesterday. So I don't know why that line got so much attention, but it sure did last week. I think Joe Tessitore had said that in the broadcast. But clean living, avoiding the processed foods, getting down into the 230s so you'd feel good. And that's such a big part of it, that I just don't feel lethargic or beat down with injuries. And even on Monday, says the best Monday that he felt.
Now the 250-pound version of Wilton Speight might not run that play.
No.
Higdon inside the 5-yard line, down to about the 4. It'll be 3rd down and 2.
Bob, Brock, that commitment to losing weight for Wilton Speight began the day after they lost to Florida State in the Orange Bowl. He was in Miami with his family still, and head coach Jim Harbaugh called him and said, look, if you want to take it to the next level, if you want to elevate your game, you have to get serious in every aspect, and that means getting in the best physical shape possible. He took it as a challenge, and he rose to it.
And I take this as a challenge, 4-down territory, to push this ball into the end zone and be who you are, be the big physical team you want to be.
Isaac behind the line, thrown down by Marquise Copeland. So now it's 4th down and about 4. They went for it on 4th and 8 and picked it up. This is a chip shot field goal to make it a 2-touchdown lead. But they're going to bypass it again and go for it again.
And instead, there's just confusion. You're running a little trap play. Eyes are not up with the offensive lineman. Away knew the right guard, runs right past and unblocked Copeland in the middle. Biggest play of the game to this point.
This is Jim Harbaugh wanting to make a statement. 4th down and 4 at the 6. It's a glorified extra point to kick the field goal and go up by 13. Another chance for Cincinnati on defense. Jim Harbaugh wants a timeout and gets it running down the sideline before the snap. Well, maybe in terms of managing the game, is he going to rethink this decision and send Quinn Nordine out to try a field goal? We'll see what Michigan does when we return with just over 9 minutes to go. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewert, Allison Williams back at the Big House. Well, Jim Harbaugh called what turned out to be a game management timeout. Rather than go for it on 4th down at about the 6-yard line, he sends Quinn Nordine out to try a short field goal. And now Michigan leads by 2 touchdowns. They're up by 13 with 9:02 to go.
And I think ultimately, Bob, and I said this on a decision that Jim made earlier in the game, that as players, you dictate the decision I make on 4th down. And then 3rd down and 1 run, you're going to run an inside run play, something you believe in, a core philosophy of yours, and you leave a defensive tackle unblocked for a 3-yard loss. Well, you made the decision for me. I'm going to kick the field goal. And we've not picked up stunts particularly well. We've not ran it when we have wanted to run it. And you take the sure thing, and now you force Cincinnati into scoring 2 touchdowns.
And that was also, I think, Brock, an NFL-esque game management situation. In college football, when you want to impress a selection committee, when you want voters to see margins, and you want to maybe at times run the score up to try and make a resume-building win look better, maybe you go for it, maybe you try and score a touchdown. In the NFL, you kick a field goal there 100 times out of 100 because you want a 2-touchdown lead. That's just about managing the game to make sure you win the game.
So is that a voice in Jim's head, or is that a voice from the booth? Is that a trusted, with a veteran staff and a lot of good voices that have come in here, and some new voices too, to say, let's rethink this one just a little bit. Let's make sure we get the sure thing here, not give Cincinnati any more life.
So now Cincinnati, even if they pitch a shutout from here, needs 2 touchdowns as Geddes will take a knee as we take a look at today's game-changing moments brought to you by Benjamin Moore, and there are 2 that could have changed the game.
Your pressure team, you're going to play a lot of man-to-man. You're going to give up some plays and opportunities, and that was a miss. That was a touchdown right there for Khalil Lewis beating Metellus. And Hayden Moore comes right back, shows incredible guts and resolve to put another one out there, and that one on the money. Couldn't place it any better. Those are 2 game-changing. One is a gimme touchdown, going to be a touchdown, and the other you're going to be inside the 5-yard line. You got to feast on those opportunities when they present themselves against this type of defense.
If you're going to beat number 8 on the road as a 5-touchdown underdog, you have to make plays like that. A keeper for Hayden Moore. Tracked down by that Michigan pursuit led by Rashawn Gary. Noah Furbush out there as well. And that is a loss of a couple on first down.
Well, there was the QB run, but that's not when you wanted to see it. You wanted to see the QB run against a pressure look, a man look, where everybody bites on the running back. And that time, nobody bit. Winovich, Rashawn Gary, everybody involved.
Screen, caught in the flat. Boone breaks a tackle. And does well to get out close to the 20-yard line. Tracked by Mike McCray.
Boone's
He's out of bounds at the 29.
He's a good player. They missed him a year ago. Missed a few games with a turf toe injury. At 100 yards last week against Austin. He's going to be Hayden Moore's best friend, and Mike McCray knows it. Don Brown reacting on the sidelines. Those are those tackles in space that find a way to finish.
Well, last season, Cincinnati only had 5 carries of 20 or more yards the whole season. Boone had 2 last week. Third down. Flags down.
False start. Offense, number 64. 5-yard penalty. Remains third down.
So now it's third down and 11.
That's a little bit of what Luke Fickell was saying to us yesterday, that just when you feel Michigan over the 4 quarters and what they do to you defensively, just make you flinch, and you can't flinch.
Tunnel screen. Dragging a tackler close to the first down is Mike Boone. Mike McCray there to make the stop, about 1.5 yards shy. So now down by 2 scores with 7.5 minutes to go. Do you go for it here if you're Luke Fickell?
Whatever
you almost have to.
Well, whatever you do, you make the decision now. You don't put the risk of yet another timeout. And that situation in play, you've got to go. You've got to go make this decision.
18 seconds on the play clock, and here comes the punt group.
And they better hustle.
Down to 10 on the play clock. They need to get set, snap the football to avoid having to spend another timeout or losing 5 yards. 3 on the play clock. And they snap it without the punter being ready. And it's all the way back through the end zone for a safety. James Smith was taking his time. The play clock, though, wasn't waiting for him. They snapped the football, and he wasn't ready. There's the long snapper, John Vincent. And it looks like we've got a flag down in the end zone as well.
Illegal batting. Kicking team. Result of the play is safety.
All of that brought the domino effect of going back to how long it takes to make the decision as to whether or not you're going to go for it and getting your punt group out there.
Yep, and the long snapper is the one that has the awareness of that play clock, and he's looking at it. He's sitting over the ball. 5, 4, 3. He knows that he can't afford to delay a game, can't afford to burn another timeout. Unfortunately, the 23-year-old freshman punter not ready. Just self-inflicted mistakes. You're a heavy underdog. Not going to get it done out on the road.
It was given the name Death Valley for a reason. Good luck escaping alive.
You can win this fight tonight.
That'll be a scene.
Well, Clemson believes it, and they love it. They love when SEC big boys come in or they get to tangle with them. We'll see whether or not Jared Stidham and Gus Malzahn believe over 4 quarters facing the teeth of that defensive line in that environment. Can't wait.
The illegal batting penalty on James Smith forces Cincinnati to kick it from their own 25-yard line. A penalty, of course, he had no choice but to take, as he has to knock the ball out of the back of the end zone to avoid a touchdown and take the safety. So Kakoa Crawford out to the 36-yard line. Back to Cassidy.
All right, thanks, Bob. We have a crazy shootout for the Cyhawk. Jacob Park to Hakeem Butler again. 74-yard bomb. Park's 4th TD pass of the game. Second to Butler. Cyclones back on top, 38-31 on ESPN2. And coming up next on ABC, Pittsburgh taking on number 4 Penn State. Again on ABC. Bob, Brock, back to you.
All right, Cassidy, thanks very much. We were at Heinz Field last year for what was a terrific game between Pitt and Penn State. Ty Isaac on the carry here for about 4 yards. But, Brock, I get the feeling as if that Pitt team and that Penn State team are both radically different teams than where they were week 2 the same time last year.
Yeah, Matt Canada, offensive coordinator, gone. That big line, James Conner, Nathan Peterman, all off to the NFL. And Penn State remembers that game.
And Penn State also has Trace McSorley as the quarterback of an offense in a place where he was nowhere near yet in week 2 of last year.
And maybe the best player in college football in Saquon Barkley.
Yep. But there may not have been a player last year in all of college football that grew over the course of a season more than Trace McSorley at quarterback for Penn State. Cut down behind the line is Karan Higdon by Tyrell Gilbert. It'll be 3rd down and 8 as we take a look at the early season Heisman hype. And here are a few on Brock's list and what you think their chances might be.
Yeah, absolute man-child. I mean, Saquon is just everything that you want in a running back. You've got two of my guys going tonight, and it's going to make a big case, I think, in this conversation over the course of the season. I got to see Sam Darnold play better. It's one thing when nobody knows you. It's quite another when you carry the burden and the responsibility of being everything, especially with new offensive linemen around you.
Wide receiver screen to Grant Perry. And it will be a punt for Michigan with 5:15 to go. Grant Coleman made the tackle. Now, I still, on my 4, have Lamar Jackson on there because the guy's a blur. Look at the numbers that he's putting up in Chapel Hill today. I think Josh Rosen puts himself in the conversation with his 4th quarter last Sunday night. Baker Mayfield, just the stats, the efficiency. The guy doesn't miss. And I still think Sam Darnold is the complete package as a player. Everything you want the face of your program to be on and off the field, and he will play better as the season goes on. Line drive kick. Devin Gray bobbles it and steps out of bounds. Let's check in with Allison.
Well, guys, it was interesting talking this week to Chris Evans, the Michigan running back, about how they prepare for the game. Now, of course, they get very detailed scouting reports from their coaches, but they actually take it one step further as a running backs group. They go on to social media, dig around on the internet, and find out whatever they can about the opposing team's linebackers. He said it's the little details you find out, like someone was a converted quarterback or used to be a wrestler. You know he'll be a good arm tackler. He said we find whatever type of information we can to give us that smallest bit of an edge or maybe tell us a little bit more about a player we'll be facing. And they put together their own little scouting report on the linebackers.
That is NFL stuff once again. I think we have said that over 4 quarters. It comes to light there as well. Good job, Allison.
Hayden Moore on a sprint down. Squeezes one into traffic and throws an interception to Lavert Hill. It might be pick 6 number 2. And it is for Michigan. That's a Wolverine touchdown. The Hill family tradition continues in the secondary. At Michigan, big brother Delano, of course, now with the Seattle Seahawks, played safety as part of a great defense last year. And now Lavert Hill, in his sophomore season, runs back a touchdown.
Yeah, and you saw Luke Fickell there on the sidelines losing it on offensive staff. That is a no-no. Haven't done that all day. Haven't moved the pocket. Haven't thrown into that kind of congestion. Have just not taken that kind of risk. Lavert Hill, albeit young, looked like a veteran reading the eyes of a quarterback that just made a fatal mistake.
Well, Luke Fickell told us when we met with him yesterday, we have a group whose confidence I need to build. Because after last year, there just isn't any. There's a team that scored 19 points a game last year and lost 8 of their final 9 games of the season. I don't know if when they go back, Brock, and take a look at the tape today that their confidence will build, but Cincinnati put up quite a fight for quite a long time here at Michigan. But the Wolverines now making plays that championship teams make when they need to make sure they put a game away against an inferior opponent. And this will come out to the 25-yard line tonight on ABC. Oklahoma, Ohio State. A game that helped determine the playoff last year and could again this year. A couple of Heisman hopefuls, Baker Mayfield, JT Barrett square off. Coverage kicks off at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. And of course, all of our games always streaming live on the ESPN app.
JT's played a long time in this Big Ten conference. The chance tonight, I think, against a defense that there will be opportunities for him to continue to make plays. New offensive coordinator that's putting him in some new positions. More than likely, you'll see that record get busted tonight.
Hand off to Mike Boone. And he moves the pile for about 2.
Bob, I think once again we're seeing that this Michigan defense is young, but they can play. And just because they don't have starting experience doesn't mean they don't have experience in Don Brown's defense. Like we talked at the top of the show, really interesting when you consider Mike McCray is the only player with double-digit starts. But everybody else in that front 7, except for one, has double-digit playing experience. So they have gotten in there for games. And Rashawn Gary told me, he said, look, we're just ready to show everybody we're young, but we're fast, we're hungry, and most importantly, we're ready.
A little option toss to the edge to Mike Boone. Well, Don Brown also told us that everyone made such a big deal about all of the players off of last year's defense. But remember, that group had 1 year to learn a system. Yep. So now he says the beauty of it, last year everyone was learning it. This year we have a core group that's been here and gets it. And this is not an easy defensive system to get and master.
Nope, and there's some high risk and some huge reward. You've seen it with 2 pick sixes today. There could be good teaching tape from this game, though. Some of the big plays and some of the opportunities and closing down some of the lanes even better.
That's a first down dive for Mike Boone.
And I'll tell you what else. That reaction from Luke Fickell after that last pick 6. I think what he wanted was this drive, that last time out. There's no desperation. You know, I think that's why he was so fired up at that offensive staff. I don't give them anything. You know, it's a 2-touchdown game. I don't want any active desperation at that moment.
There's Boone again. Fights his way back to the line of scrimmage. May have lost a half yard.
And I would challenge one other thing, Bob, that you said earlier about you don't know, and that's what you don't want to see with Boone down. Is this a game that you gain confidence? If I'm Cincinnati defensively, and I'm Marcus Freeman, defensive coordinator, and Luke, what your defense did in this building, in this matchup, I mean, you have to gain confidence. Your front 4 more than held their own. Got after Wilton Spate, stopped so much of that interior run. Good look at Marcus Freeman. He looks like he could still play. I asked him if he could. He said maybe one play. And there's Luke Fickell, who's going to build this thing defensively. They're going to build it by being a physical team. And he had to like what his front did. Much, much better than the opening week.
Well, Cincinnati has been quite the cradle of coaches as well over the last decade or so. Mark D'Antonio, Brian Kelly, and Butch Jones have all jumped to Power 5 jobs off of the great work that they did with Cincinnati. And would you be surprised if Luke Fickell is not able to get this program right back to where those 3 guys had it?
No, and I think I've learned through the years that that's important for coaches to jump. You know, which job you take, what opportunity you take. Has it won before? Have there been people ahead of you that have shown that you can get to big-time bowls? And that answer is yes. An Orange Bowl and a Sugar Bowl with Brian Kelly and 10-win seasons, and obviously what D'Antonio, you know, a launching pad, as you said, for all of those guys. I think Luke Fickell believes there's enough talent in the state of Ohio to go around.
Quarterback keeper for Hayden Moore on 3rd down and long for 3 yards. Sets up 4th down and 5, and that will take us down inside of a minute and a half to go. And all that will remain is, I'm assuming, a punt from Cincinnati and victory formation for Michigan. And a final score. And again, if you're looking to impress voters in a committee at some point down the road, that really won't tell the full story of how many anxious moments all the folks in maize and blue had in this building for quite a while.
I'm sure the talk radio shows in Detroit and Ann Arbor are going to talk about some overthrows. They're going to talk about some opportunities that Cincinnati missed. I think more than anything over the course of this season is that offensive line. And if Michigan and Jim Harbaugh is going to get back to winning a national title here, which is the ultimate goal, that it's going to be up front. And I thought today, even compared to Florida last week, Florida is a tremendous front, incredibly active in their front seven, very, very physical. I thought we would see a little more traction in the run game, a little more traction at times in protection. And there's still a lot of room to grow for that offensive line.
John O'Korn replaced Wilton Spate for the last 9 minutes of the first half after the back-to-back pick sixes last week against Florida. And now he gets mop-up duty here with 54 seconds to go. And Amari Samuels, a freshman, is in a tailback. So rather than victory formation, Jim Harbaugh is going to let his young players run a few plays. Samuels picks up 3. And only one more snap, it looks like, necessary for Michigan. So the Wolverines have Air Force next week. Then they go on the road to take on Purdue, then home for Michigan State, and then it gets interesting. Over on ESPN News, by the way, Penn State and Pitt is getting underway, and then they will follow our coverage as soon as possible, as soon as we wrap things up here at the Big House. And now it is a knee taken by John O'Korn, and that will do it.
Well, the stadium did not disappoint. My first time in the Big House, 111,000. What an environment. Luke Fickell should be proud of his Bearcats in their fight. And Jim Harbaugh and Wilton Spate get the W that I think everybody in this building expected.
(33-17) over Florida last week. 36-14 the win for Michigan this week over Cincinnati. Allison Williams and Brock Ewert. I'm Bob Wischusen. So long from Michigan. Pitt and Penn State takes over after a quick timeout.